which is trying to disrupt the parking industry worldwide and have already made their presence known in the markets like Philippines, Australia, Ireland, Azerbaijan, and many others. They're currently trying to expand in North America with a pilot running in Edmonton International Airport, no pun intended. Without further ado, I welcome Rob Brown, CEO and co-founder of KERB. Please, Rob, take it from here.
Thank you. I am just going to share my screen. Right, can everyone see my screen? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll get straight into it. So I'm Rob Brown, the founder and CEO of KERB, which is a global from day one disruptive smart parking platform. Today we're parking. There's $1 trillion industry that is stuck in the 20th century that is just waiting to be disrupted. That is our primary focus today. But beyond parking, once we unlock parking in cities, there is a far bigger opportunity in obviously mobility and where mobility is going. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about over the next 10 minutes. You unlock parking, you unlock a city. Nobody's been able to do it. Every smart city agenda anywhere in the world has got smart parking as one of its 7 or 10 pillars. But how do you get the cars out of the city? How do you get them off the streets? My contention is that in 20 years' time, we'll look back and say, can you remember the day, even 20 years ago, when we were allowed to park by the curbside for 8-10 hours a day? It was just crazy, wasn't it? But now that we've got all these autonomous vehicles and whatever the future of mobility looks like, but we need to free up the curbside. And my contention has always been that there are plenty of places to park. Where are all the vehicles at 4 o'clock in the morning? They're all parked somewhere. But the problem is they're all on private land, most of them behind barriers, behind, in security environments, etc. What if you could unlock all of those parking spaces? And that is the journey that we're on, and that is the product we have. So parking's cost to society, really. I mean, I don't need to. Every single person on this call can relate to the costs in terms of traffic congestion, time. It costs money, productivity in the environment. It is just a negative externality on a city's infrastructure, on a city's environment, and for the citizens, for the local municipality, etc. But what's really interesting, and what's a big part of one of the key themes to take away from KERB, is that data, the places a person parks, similar to the places a person spends on their credit card every month that Visa and MasterCard know, but obviously they're, tell a really interesting story about their life, where they live, where they work, where they play, where they pray. And if you could join the dots, and this is a day-to-day, these are day-to-day activities. Most people with a vehicle need to park somewhere, multiple times a week. If you could aggregate all of those parking spaces, or a big proportion of them, onto a single platform, that would make for a very, very compelling, compelling app or compelling website, etc. In the same way that Expedia and business and Booking.com, for example, and TripAdvisor have done for hotels. The difference being that hotels you may go to once, twice, 3 times a year. Parking, you do it 4, 5 times, 6 times a week, whatever it is, even more. So that's the mission that we're on, and data is at our core. We let people into a car park based on who they are, their phone, etc. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a minute. So what is KERB? Essentially, we're a global smart parking platform for drivers. We're a B2C app that aggregates, helps you find, book, pay for parking, shows you real-time availability. And for car park operators and owners, we are a B2B smart parking management and access system. So a shopping mall, a hotel, whatever you are, you've got your parking infrastructure, your gates already in place. Maybe you've probably got ticket machines and pay stations. We don't need to do anything around those, but we do need to integrate. We need to get you through the gate. So we have a very simple but clever solution, which combines an IoT box, which sits inside any gate, opens any gate in the world. And we use an AI camera to automate the gate opening. Now, where you've got a gate, that's relevant. If you haven't got a gate, like in a surface car park, in a council car park or whatever, where you've got a pay station, pay by phone, you know, stickers on the side of it, we are now able to go and start competing against those players as well. So we're a B2C, a B2C to B, or B2B2C platform where we address both sides of the marketplace. So parking the old way with KERB, even in sophisticated environments with tickets and pay stations, you know, ANPR, as they call it in the UK, LPR systems, and RFID swipe card systems. Those are all very, very CapEx intensive, that come with CapEx and OpEx in intensive environments. So with KERB, essentially, you know, with a $250 IoT device in your gate, you don't need a camera, but if you want a camera for the zero touch experience, you can have it, but at a very, very low cost. Essentially, we take all the friction out of parking. These slides I'll share with you if you haven't already got them, but the advantages, you know, of the KERB versus the legacy systems are all there. In terms of our business model, how do we make money? We don't charge the parker. Our business model is on the site owner, the space owner side. So we have a very flexible business model with three key components: setup fees. So we have a hardware component, which, as I said, is a $250 per gate IoT device, plus installation costs, and then a camera if you want the full you know, touchless experience. We charge SaaS fees where we can. Some environments, like an office tower, where people pay for their parking through their lease, they're on essentially a $0 parker for us. So we charge a SaaS fee to the commercial landlord, and then we try wherever we can to take a commission on booking. And sometimes it'll be 1, 2, or 3 of those. Sometimes it'll be 1 and 2. Sometimes it'll be 3 only. But very flexible, low entry cost to landlords and commercial property owners. So how are we going to win? We have a pretty aggressive scale up. There are so many areas that we can focus on, and like any startup, but especially a startup addressing such a sizable market as KERB, focus is our key thing, because there are so many. We can play in boats, we can play in ports, we can play in, you know, we're building a product for private jet parking in North America called KERB Air, which you know, we'll talk about in a second. But we can't focus on all that. We don't have the resources. We're a startup across 8 countries. We've got a presence in staff in 8 countries, a presence in 10 countries. Our key focus are airports, further to the strategic investment that Edmonton International Airport has made in KERB, buildings, primarily in North America and Asia, and then smart cities. We won Toyota's global smart city competition ahead of 90 other technology companies in 2021. Just a couple of others. So our go-to-market strategy, as I said, is airports, buildings, and smart cities. Again, there's detail there that you can go through. Traction. We're still quite an early stage company in terms of revenue, but this year, and I wouldn't put this in writing, but I'll be disappointed if we don't do 10x to 15x revenue this year. This is the year. We did not do that last year, nothing like it. But this is the year that KERB will take off. We now have product market fit. We'll be fully deployed at Edmonton Airport by 30th of June. We've got conversations happening with around 12 other airports in the world, most of them in North America, but we're talking to Changi. One of our investors sits on the board of Changi. I'm meeting with Clark Airport in the Philippines next Tuesday. The airport opportunity alone is just humongous, and they are looking for data. You know, the airlines have the data, the airports don't, and the airports want the data, and there's a big capex compelling sort of opportunity there for them. So our key focus areas are Southeast Asia over the next 12-18 months, and Canada. but moving into North America. We've got some sort of 3 or 4 significant opportunities with airports there, which will really get us started. Our investment hypothesis just essentially is we're on a Series A, where we've got a 10 mil round open at the moment. We've got about 3 of that accounted for. So there's 7 mil, 14% of the company. Minimum ask is 200,000 US. And we will be looking to do a Series B, probably of around 50 million, sort of Q1, Q2 next year. So that is essentially it. We've got about about 60, 75, I think 75 investors today. Most of them are small. We will do some consolidation on the cap table once we finish Series A. But really, we're looking for investors that can help open doors and help us take this exciting company to the next level. So that's KERB. So thank you very much, and I'd love to have some questions for anybody who's got any. I think we're spot on 10 minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Just in the interest of time, we can only take 1 question for now. If there's any question right now, and rest we can, everyone else can leave their questions in the chat box, and Rob will try to hopefully answer them.
Yeah.
Okay, just wondering about Canada as a market to grow into. How does it compare? What can we do better in a place like Alberta?
Okay, so Alberta is really interesting for us, Michael. So we've got Edmonton. So our smart city story is Malaysia, because that's where that was the co-sponsor of Toyota's global smart city competition, which we won. So we're rolling out there, but I think Edmonton will actually be the first proper smart city rollout that we do. We've got the airport, which is the gateway into the city, 25 million visitors a year in a city of 1.4, 1.5 million. You can imagine how many times people go to the airport. We've got Edmonton Expo Center coming on. We've got the Ice District coming on, Commonwealth Stadium coming on, sort of all in the next 3-4 months. And then we are also across Alberta. We've just launched just before Christmas in Marmot Basin Ski Resort. And we're launching in Revelstoke next month. We've got like 3 or 4 other airports, not all in Alberta, but certainly Edmonton will be our North American headquarters. We're establishing is Edmonton. It's not Calgary, it's Edmonton. So we're fully
even
committed.
better.
We're going to be.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was great, Rob, and I really apologize, but I think we better let Aaron.
Absolutely, I appreciate the time. Understand totally.
There may be more questions in the chat space, so everybody feel free to continue filling out the poll. Yeah. I'll share those results with you and put in questions for Rob and his team, and we'll turn over to Aaron for the next speaker then.
Right. And just to confirm, Michael, everyone received the deck, yeah? Everyone's got the deck that I just present. Brilliant. Thank you. Fantastic. Great to meet you all. Thank you very much. Would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for the pitch, and thank you, Michael. In the interest of time, I'll just quickly again reiterate the housekeeping rules. Our presenters will have 10 minutes for the online session, which includes 5 minutes of presentation and 5 minutes of Q&A. I'll raise my finger when you have just 1 minute left for your presentation. And if you don't have much time for your question and answer, please feel free to leave the questions in the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer. For our next startup, Iluria Health, it's an exciting startup that originates in Israel, and they offer remote patient monitoring for health condition patients, and they're focused on ADHD for now. Without further ado, I invite Ryan Izraeli, VP Product and Corporate Development, to present Iluria Health.
Thank you. Let me just bring on the slides. Okay. My name is Juan, and I'm from Iluria. We are developing a precision medicine platform for mental health disorders, starting with ADHD. Determining treatment effectiveness in many mental health disorders is a black box that requires trial and error processes. Our aim is to illuminate this ecosystem, starting with ADHD. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ADHD, it is a chronic neurodevelopmental disorder associated with bouts of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. If not properly treated, it also includes long-term severe outcomes. After the initial diagnosis treatment, a patient is usually assigned with treatment. Usually, the initial period of the medication treatment is trial and error based, and it can last from anything from 4 months to even over 2 years. And all of this is done via manual questionnaires with no objective data feed. Our solution, sorry about it. This is where we come in. Our software objectively and continuously monitors the treatment by retrieving an ensemble of physiological vitals, such as movement and heart rates and its derivatives. These vitals are retrieved from commercial level wearables. And then our software aggregates all of this and provides a treatment efficacy reporting to the different stakeholders, parents, patients, and clinicians. What we do is we offer objective, personalized, and non-invasive monitors that can provide medication diary, raw data analysis, as well as treatment effectiveness patterns on an aggregate basis, as well as illuminating titrations and the dose and the change of dosage processes. Our solution provides value for the entire stakeholders, the patients, their caregivers, clinicians, healthcare providers, and insurers. This ultimately ends with better caregiving, increased engagement, and higher adherence rates. On the science level, we already completed 2 clinical trials, one in Israel and the second one with Cincinnati Children's. We have an ongoing clinical scale-up in Italy at the moment, and we recently started 2 pilots with our first version of our software, one in Budapest in Hungary and the other with Cincinnati Children. In addition to that, we have a 3-year plan for precision medicine. Our aim is to establish patient clustering based on age, gender, ethnic origin, and medication type. Currently, the only clustering is done and the medication is only assigned using body weight. As for commercializing our product, we are targeting the large healthcare providers at first, and then the health insurer/payers in the US. And on a later stage, we aim to address the pharmaceutical players, self-including insurers. As for the market, the addressable market is quite large due to the prevalence. Our price point is based on the cost saving of the solution offers. Actually, this is not a guesstimate. We based it on the results from the clinical trials that we have conducted and the cost saving element. On the IP front, we have two PCT applications, one with respect to ADHD and an additional one regarding anxiety and depression. With respect to ADHD, we should have a patent granted status by the end of the year. And with respect to anxiety and depression, we are in the initial national phase of it. Our team includes many years of experience in medium-sized companies, as well as having leading scientific assistance and clinical from researcher. As for what we accomplished so far, 2 clinical trials, patent protections. We completed a pre-seed round of 1.5 million. Now we have started pilots. We are in the process with the FDA. And looking forward to 2023 and 2024, our aim is to start commercialization, post-regulation and reimbursement during the second half of 2024. And we are currently raising a round of $2.5 million with an initial tranche of $600,000 so far. We've secured, actually, I'm happy today that we secured half of it. So we have a 300,000 already subscribed for the initial tranche.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the great presentation. We will take, in the interest of time, we'll just take one question for now. And
sure.
Okay, I welcome anyone to ask a question. If not, I will.
Yes, Mark.
If I might, I'm sorry, I couldn't get to my virtual hand raise, so I went the old-fashioned way.
No problem, Mark.
Yes. And your interface, this is going to be geared towards children as well as parents. Have you thought about maybe trying to gamify the interface so that you can get the ADHD patients' involvement ramped up a little bit?
Actually, yes. Actually, so in the initial version of the software, the gamification that we have added is pretty limited, and it includes only well-being reporting using smiley or not smiley faces from the users. But in our roadmap, definitely for the next versions of the solution, will include upscaled gamifications.
Thank you, Ren.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ren. I think we're done with the session for global pitches. Now we are going to take some break, and the next is the health and life sciences. Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Aaron. And actually, this is kind of flexible time. And if anybody else has a question for Ran, that was a great talk and very heartfelt. And Ran, you presented several times. So I just want to thank you again personally for continuing to share your story. And it looks like it's getting stronger and stronger. I guess I'll ask a similar question. What can Alberta do to help? We have an integrated healthcare system here, a lot of companies developing new devices and diagnostics. What could we do to help specifically in addition to the investment raise that you're looking for?
I think maybe even piloting our solution, maybe with one of the clinical centers, relevant clinical centers in Alberta, can be quite relevant. Actually, we so far in Canada, apart from a few conversations, we didn't advance. So we would love to do something in Alberta.
Okay, great. Well, I'll try and reach out to the Alberta healthcare system. We have a variety of people that are involved. They're very busy, I guess, as most healthcare systems are. So just trying to find the right person in the midst of all of the other activities is important. But I can link you up. Okay. So, and if any,
okay, thank you.
Any links, yep.
Actually, and I will also look at the Children's Hospital and send you names of relevant researchers, maybe that can be relevant for potential collaborations.
Very good. Yeah, I'm happy to link you up there as well.
Okay.
So very good. Terrific. And thank you all for filling out the poll. We've got another couple seconds. but maybe I'll let Zach introduce himself. He's our next chair. Thank you again, Ran. And Zach, feel free to say a word about yourself and introduce our first speaker. I've just loaded Audrey's latest slide deck on her site. So take a look. You'll see the slides there that she's presenting as well.
All right, awesome. Welcome everyone to the Health and Life Sciences section today. My name is Zachary Clarenbach. I'm a physiology student at the U of A. I'm very happy to be here. So for our first speaker, I'd like to introduce Audrey Vaultt, who's the founder and CEO of Vaultt, as the first presenter. Vaultt is a collaborative information management and communication platform for family caregivers. Go ahead, Audrey.
Oh, can you see that?
Looks great.
Is that okay? Great. Thanks, everybody. I'm actually going to go a couple of minutes over 5 minutes, probably closer to 7. But hi, everybody. I'm pleased to be here. I'm Audrey. I'm the founder and CEO of Vaultt. And I so appreciate the opportunity to share our vision today with DiscoveryLab. So years ago, I was the caregiver for both my aging disabled parents. My mom was a paraplegic and my father had dementia. And as they aged, their list of chronic conditions also increased. And I was totally stressed out. I had to manage their care, their health, their finances, their legal, their everything. I also had to collaborate with my brother, but that was a challenge. And there was no secure solution for us. Information was not being shared between us. The ball was constantly being dropped. So I built Vaultt. Vaultt's the collaborative information management and communication platform for family caregivers, helping them to securely organize, store, and share vital information with their circle of care. Now, I think we all recognize this right now. The population is aging at a rapid rate. By 2050, older adults will make up 20% of the population. And like me, 1 in 5 or more than 50 million family caregivers care for an aging family member in North America right now. This statement is impactful for me. All of us either need care, will need care, give care, or will give care at some point in our lives. Everyone. And like me, these family caregivers are stressed, disorganized, and they struggle to properly manage their vital information, which makes collaboration difficult. So we built a suite of tools to help family caregivers collaborate on their health journey. Families taking care of aging parents appreciate our proxy technology, allowing for easy and secure collaboration with features such as tasking. As an example, I can task my brother to take my mother to an appointment and record all the details. We have an update channel, which is like Facebook, but private. It's a great place to collaborate on the wellness and other updates on our loved ones. And we consulted with over 2,000 patients and family caregivers to build a sticky, feature-rich platform that truly helps them. We have features such as symptom tracking and vitals logging, which is essential in the daily life of a patient with a chronic illness. We have information storage, which provides an intuitive place to organize all that important health and personal information that can be accessed and shared at the touch of a button. And our newest and biggest feature is My Health Summary, which allows one to instantly fax, share critical medical information, emergency contacts, prescription lists, medical history, and care directives to doctors, hospitals, and urgent care at the touch of a button. And this enables the patients and their caregivers to provide the right information to their care providers and advocate to get the best care possible. So that's all great and awesome and helpful, but how are we going to get Vaultt into the hands of all these family caregivers? We're currently working with pharmaceutical manufacturers and advocacy groups. In the near future, we expect to move into long-term care and insurance. And our goal is to partner with these groups, scale our business, and build our name so we become the trusted brand for caregivers in North America. Right now, Vaultt is being used as a patient and caregiver engagement platform. Patient engagement is a massive industry valued at over $18.3 billion in North America. We use a B2B2C model. We sell subscription licenses to pharma and advocacy groups, and they provide the platform to their patients and their caregivers. We know, however, that elder care industry is even bigger, and the economic value of these family caregivers looking after their loved ones is $477 billion. With the rapidly aging population, this is a massive industry with huge needs, and we're going after it. So what makes us really special? Why would healthcare providers like pharma want to work with us? Because they need caregiver data. Our in-app surveys allow providers to engage their patients and family caregivers while providing them with a helpful value-add tool. Patients and caregivers use the app, and we can collect fully consented, de-identified quality of life data through our in-app surveys. Pharma knows, and studies have shown, that surveys keep patients and caregivers engaged in their health plans and more compliant. Over the last 18 months, we met with 34 of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. We have been building strong relationships with these pharmas, and we have major traction right now with Bayer Canada. We've had 5 meetings with Bayer, and we received an RFP. Actually, at the end of the last meeting, they said that they loved us and asked how quickly we could scale globally, because they're looking for a global solution for their patient support programs with a special focus on caregiver support. And we're going to be having our 6th meeting with them again at the end of the month. And there's strength for us as a brand engaging with all the stakeholders in the caregiving journey. And there's a great need for advocacy groups to support their members and also collect survey data. And we have traction there as well. We just signed an agreement with the Canadian Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation for a revenue share deal, and are in discussions with the Alzheimer's Society and the American Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And if you're wondering about the name, 62% of all data breaches in 2021 were in the healthcare industry. Security is not an option when dealing with health information, so we built Vaultt from the ground up using end-to-end encryption to protect sensitive personal data and adhere to security and compliance standards. So we're more secure than your mobile banking app, and you can take that to the bank. Our strengths, the brand, and how we set ourselves apart from others is our collaborative tools for family caregivers, our in-app surveys, which is an essential way to engage these patients and their caregivers, our data protection and innovation through partnerships, providing these channel partners with the tools that they need. 2020 was our starting year. Our $540,000 friends and family round allowed us to do market research and develop our MVP. 2021, we landed our first major pharma partner, Boehringer Ingelheim Canada, and we hit revenue. In 2022, we landed our first major pharma partner. In 2022, we started our pre-seed round. We began development of the Android platform, which will be completed in the next week. We grew our team, we expanded our technology. In 2023, we're going to close our round and expect to reach $625,000 in revenue. Whoops. Sorry. There we go. Did I do this right? Yes, we did. Pardon me, I'm flipping all over this here right now. There we go. We have our model. We have for pharma, we have a SaaS model. We charge $120,000 per 1,000 users. For advocacy groups, we expect to monetize their fully consented survey data around $135,000 per 1,000 users. We're at revenue, and we know that we're onto something huge right now. We have a dedicated team that has the talent, drive, and experience to help us scale. I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. Long Nguyen, my COO, founded and built a health tech company, which was acquired in 2020, and the technology is now being used by TELUS Health. Our lead engineer has founded and built multiple startups. We have also attracted some of the best health tech, security, data, and pharma advisors in North America. We have Canadian and US pharma advisors. We've got Tom Brogan. He's our health data guru. He developed the first ever source of pharma claims data. We're also part of the Invest Ottawa Accelerator. We're seeking $600,000 in pre-seed funding. We're at 75% of our round right now. We're using a convertible debenture. This round includes participation of the Capital Angel Network, Hustle Fund in the States, and CEOs from major technology companies. We have 350 committed now. We have 150 soft circled, so we have $150,000 left. Our patent pending platform makes life easier for patients, families, and caregivers by helping them protect, organize, and share life-saving information. We're looking for angels that want to help us close this round and help family caregivers. We're also reaching out to DiscoveryLabs for introductions to pharma manufacturers and patient advocacy groups. And thanks so much. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
That is great work, Audrey. Really impressed. Where is the primary impediment to trying to get new hospitals to sign up or work with you?
We're not really working with hospitals. I think hospitals is a challenge. I know that unless you're part of their operational budget, I think it's a real challenge. What we find right now is with pharma, as an example, pharmaceutical manufacturers, it's this extremely long sales cycle. And it's really hard to shorten that sales cycle, even with increased better messaging. It's relationship based, and you just kind of need to hold on.
Okay, Mark, sorry to jump in there. Your question, please.
That's all right, Michael. This is fascinating stuff you're doing, Audrey. What is your exit? Do you plan on riding this thing out to an IPO, or are you looking for a sale to a strategic? And after you get this moving out a bit?
Yeah, we feel that there's a few opportunities exit-wise for us. You know, I'm going to be honest here. I am in my 50s, so you know, do I want to be running this 20 years from now? Maybe not, but we already do. You know, we've already met with IQVIA. IQVIA is very interested in the way that we're handling caregiver data, fully consented and fully ethical, above board. We know that there's a lot of opportunities. One of our competitors was acquired by Innomar. Innomar is a patient support program provider. They acquired one of our competitors, so there's a potential for us in something similar. Our technology is way more advanced than theirs was. There's a lot of opportunity out there. We have interest from insurance already. They've already come and pitched to us. And we actually have a board member from Canada Life on our as one of our new investors as well.
Thank you, Audrey.
All right. Thanks for the great presentation, Audrey. Now we'll be moving on to our next presenter. Should be Pierre Wijdenes, co-founder and CPO of Neuraura. This company has developed a bioelectronic device to help treat polycystic ovary syndrome. Pierre, are you in the call right now?
I'm not actually seeing Pierre.
Yeah, neither am I.
Okay. Well, why don't you continue with any questions for any of the previous speakers while I chase down Pierre? So if anyone has any questions or just general discussion, I apologize. Sometimes this happens. I ask people to show up 10 minutes early and
So, Rob, my question about the big brothery, this kind of goes to something Audrey said about fully consented. It's in the chat if you didn't see it. Because KERB's collecting data. They know where I am all the time. And you see these dystopian futures where you have chips put in you so that they know where you are all the time. And I keep my phone in a aluminum lined panel often. So maybe it's just me. I am an old guy and I don't like being tracked. And so I'm wondering, the younger people maybe are quite happy with having everyone know where they are all the time. That's my only concern about data collection. Everyone wants my data. And when do we stop selling it? And when do I get paid for it?
Mark, can I, if we're just waiting to have a discussion, can I comment on that?
Please, this is a general question I have with a lot of these data collecting platforms.
Exactly why we're working with the advocacy group channel. They actually approached us. They have patients, the Canadian Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, as an example, have patients that can't afford oxygen, right? When you have a chronic illness, you're disabled, right? You need to be on these medications, you need a lot of treatment, you generally can't work, you're poor, you're sick. And their data, there's manufacturers and other organizations that need their data, right, to build and create treatments, right, to build their businesses. But these patients are not being compensated in any way for sharing their data. And so the model that we've actually come up with for these advocacy groups is a revenue share model. So these patients are being compensated for sharing their data. It's being done completely above board, fully consented. There's no data mining. They are sharing their data knowingly with the goal to help push forward an understanding of their disease and the treatments, and they are being compensated through a revenue share model for that. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's not really being done very often, but I think that this is the future of data, because data is the new black, or the new gold, the new orange.
The new oil, I read recently.
New oil, yeah. The new wood, depends on where you live. It could be wood as well. Wood's pretty expensive, but yeah, it's the new oil for sure.
Yep. Great points. We'll have to wrap up that discussion because Pierre has just joined us. So just to recap the introduction, Pierre is the founder and CPO of Neuraura. This company is developing a biotechnology that's able to treat polycystic ovary syndrome. Go ahead, Pierre.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for your time, and sorry that I'm a bit behind. I'm just going to share my screen. I just got back from another pitch that was actually happening in Basel in Switzerland, all virtually. So I'm just jumping from one to the other.
That's all right. Pierre, we have a little break afterwards, so no need to rush. You've got time. Your 10 minutes is still good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thanks again for having me. I'm Pierre Wijdenes, co-founder and chief product officer of Neuraura.
Could you
I'm
full
also
screen, Pierre? Could
Yeah.
you full screen, please? We're looking at your PowerPoint view. Yeah, just scroll down and hit that. Or maybe you've got two screens.
I know, I just have one screen. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, we can see the bar, the PowerPoint border. And so if you full screen, we might see just.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's because it's a PDF. Yes. Okay.
Okay. You might be able to still do a full screen. Yeah.
Can you see the full screen?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, why don't you start
All
again?
Right. Sounds good. Well, you all know my name by now, Pierre Wijdenes. I'm the co-founder and CPO of Neuraura. Our CEO, Claire Dixon, was not able to join us today because she's actually in the UK right now participating into the Femtech Lab Acceleware, which is probably the leading accelerator for women's health in the world. So I'm just replacing her on that pitch. Now, PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. It's a condition that affects more than 10% of women in the world. It's the #1 cause of infertility in women. And if you think about the long-term effect of that condition, they are extremely significant. It's a lifelong condition that 50% of women affected by it will actually develop diabetes 2 by the age of 40. We also know that in certain places, like in India, for example, those numbers can be up to 25% of women affected by PCOS. Today, there is just no real treatments. The first line of treatment is either hormones, hormone pills, birth control, and for patients affected by this insulin resistance problem, metformin being one of the drugs used for diabetes. No real treatments, and we often say that if it was a men's problem, we probably would have found a treatment maybe a few decades ago. That is extremely relevant to the fact, of course, that women's health has been unfortunately unfunded forever, we say. What we are doing at Neuraura is we are developing the loop system. Loop system is composed of 3 components. The first, you have a patch that is single use, and then we have an electronic device that's attached to that patch, and that can be controlled through an app. What this device do is that it allows for reducing the insulin resistance in the body thanks to a very precise neurostimulations that is non-invasive. It's by this metabolic loop allowed to reduce a male sex hormone that is androgen and restore the menstrual cycles properly in women's body. This research has been conducted for several decades by one of our advisors, Dr. Elizabeth Stener-Victorine, that has published in some of the highest impact journals in the world, including Cells, and she's the leader when it comes to neurostimulation and women's health. What is very special about us? It is our platform technology that is composed of our unique electrodes. We have had this electrode into development for more than 10 years now. I've done actually my PhD in the space at the University of Calgary. And these electrodes are microneedle electrodes that penetrate slightly the skin by a few hundred micrometers and allow to break down the impedance of the skin. That is actually a very, very good barrier for the body, but it allows for us to give the current and the energy required in order to provide that proper stimulation. Of course, we are not doing any type of stimulation. It is a controlled stimulation that follows a very specific frequency with a very specific burst patterns. And we have identified also, thanks to Dr. Elizabeth Stener-Victorine, that some patterns will work much better compared to others that actually don't work at all. What that technology allows us to do as well is to manufacture those electrodes at scale, which typically microneedle electrodes are not able to. And this is why even in the drug delivery, transdermal delivery, we actually don't see those electrodes or those type of microneedle being used. In terms of IP, we are proud that about 3 weeks ago, we got actually our patent granted in the US and in Australia. So that's a patent that we submitted originally about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm sure all of you can appreciate how long it takes for those patents to go through. And we are very pleased that it finally got approved. We have done a freedom to operate with Wilson & Senior lawyers also to demonstrate that the field was free for us to enter and that we are not infringing any other patents from other companies out there. In terms of our team, we have 3 co-founders. I mentioned Claire, our CEO. She has more than 25 years of experience in leadership, in strategy, and operation. Myself, I've been in the biomedical engineering field in product development and human factors for more than 10 years, working with one of the largest medical device company back in France. And Colin, the third co-founder, is bringing with him more than 25 years of experience in microfabrication. He's actually the one who I worked with originally doing my PhD in order to get those electrodes out to a device that could impact a patient's life. We have also, of course, as I mentioned, a world-class of advisors that I'll be happy to share also later in the discussion. In terms of our advantage compared to what we see out there in the field of PCOS, as I mentioned today, there are no real treatment to cure the condition. And I would like to emphasize that Loop is not made to cure the condition either, but it's providing a companion device that helps treat many of the symptoms. The device that we are looking at is something that we have demonstrated efficacy through the research of Dr. Elizabeth Victorine. She has been using actually electroacupuncture to test all those stimulation protocols. It's something that is accessible compared to the existing devices out there. If today we know that electroacupuncture is actually used by many patients for treating PCOS. However, you can't really ask your patients to go see the doctor 3 times a week and then get stimulated like that for the rest of their life. It's just not financially possible. When it comes to drugs, obviously it's expensive, especially when you talk about metformin, which is one of the drugs that is used for treating diabetes. And then we also know that with Loop, there's typically no side effects because it's very much a local stimulation. And as a result, it's also extremely convenient. The way that we are building the device is basically to bring this specific electroacupuncture device to treat PCOS at home. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, we actually had a pre-submission meetings about a month ago with the FDA. We have confirmed this regulatory pathway. We are using existing predicates called Overa and Livia, for example, as devices that are targeting pain specifically, and pain, for example, related to PCOS and dysmenorrhea. The reasons for that is that we can go for a class 2 510K with that approach, and that we actually don't need to do clinical trials in order for us to enter market. We then expect to have that initial version of the device reaching market by 2024. And then our goal is to use the exact same device, run a clinical trial specifically on PCOS, and allows us to escalate the claim in order to get approved for the PCOS indication. Now, as you can imagine, because we are affecting basically the metabolism pathway related to insulin, we are also looking at escalating claim towards diabetes. We are actually already in discussion with some partners out there in order to look at how we can accelerate that pathway, because as many of you probably know, diabetes is also a massive condition, looking at a very large market as well. Talking about markets, these are the numbers that we are looking into. So we know it's a very scalable pathway that we're looking into, from pain to PCOS to prediabetes and diabetes. Looking at target acquirers and the exit valuation of existing companies out there, these are the numbers that we can expect. The further we go towards diabetes routes, and the larger the exit or the evaluation at that point. The reason for us to really tap into pelvic pain first, again, is from a regulatory perspective. Moving to PCOS is because it's a quick route for us, or a quick demonstration of the efficacy towards insulin. And then diabetes is for us one of the other applications where you see a lot of opportunities. Why I'm presenting in front of you today, because few reasons. We are seeking partners to help us on our mission. We have a pre-seed that is just opening, where we are looking at $500,000 plus to finalize this prototype that we have. It's a functional prototype, and we have already collaboration with partners to bring it to what we call an MVP, actually basically a design freeze for us to submit to FDA. We are looking for people to help us also refine and execute our go-to-market strategy, especially when it comes to reimbursements related to PCOS and diabetes. And then we are always looking for relationship and connections for us to connect us to the femtech world, which is kind of a niche market, but as many people will tell you, it's a pretty big niche considering that it affects half of the population on the planet. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to answer, of course, any questions you may have.
All right, we'll take the first question here by Aditya.
Hi, thank you. That's a great presentation. I had a quick question about your expansion into diabetes. I'm wondering if you have any data which shows how you would be more effective or as effective as metformin, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So the research that was done by Dr. Elizabeth Victorine has been demonstrating that we can, and actually, I think you can't see my videos. I'm just gonna check that. Yeah. The work done by Dr. Elizabeth Victorine has demonstrated that the continuous stimulation about 3 times a week, about 3 to 4 weeks, we can change the level of insulin in the body from sufferers affected by insulin resistance. Now, we don't see necessarily this device as replacing completely the drugs, but we have demonstrated through her research that we can indeed reduce the needs potentially for the drugs. She has done studies in rats initially for a long time, and actually right now she's running a clinical study in Europe. I think it's more than $1.5 million study funded by the European Parliament in order to get further demonstration in human bodies. So as I mentioned, it's not necessarily a device that we see as a replacement to drug, but more of a companion device. And when you think of other company, for example, like GSK, that have created a fund called Action Potential, and for the last 2 decades invested in bioelectronics, that's typically the angle that we are looking for as well in diabetes. We're looking for pharma companies that we know have an approach for bioelectronic as well as a complementary solution towards the drugs that they're already developing, because they know that their drugs also have limitations.
I understand. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the great presentation, Pierre. Next up, we have Alireza Bahramian. So this is the founder and CEO of OfBrains, and he's going to be presenting their portable lens system for an innovative solution for dry eye disease. Go ahead, Alireza. I think Alireza just may be away from their computer. Oh, there we go. You can able to see your screen now.
Just full screen it. Looks great. And thanks, Zach, again. You're a busy student at the U of A. I really appreciate you taking the time today to introduce our speakers. And again, the University of Alberta for sponsoring today. Go ahead, please, and start your presentation. We can't hear you for the moment, so maybe just make sure your mic is working.
Yeah, and unmuted.
What about now?
Okay, great. Yeah, you can start now, please. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ali, CEO and founder of OfBrains, a company committed to non-invasively measuring the properties of tear fluid for diagnosing Parkinson's disease, different diseases like Parkinson's and dry eye. Today, I'm happy to present our innovative product, Tear Lens, which measures the osmolarity of tear fluid. Tear osmolarity is the gold standard for diagnosing dry eye disease, but the current methods are expensive, invasive, and also they lack the real-time measurement capability. The market for the test is huge. For example, in the US, there are over 50,000 ophthalmologists and optometrists. And a simple calculation as shown in this slide shows that the market, the minimum market in the US is $1 billion just for measuring the osmolarity of the tear. Despite the presence of established players in the market like TerraLab and IPEN, TerraLab is a US-based company and IPEN a Canadian-based company. And they are the main competitors for our product, but they are limited to use of single-use items, which makes them expensive in the long run and also lead variable results due to stimulating reflex tearing. Our product, TearLens, is totally different. It doesn't have any single-use item. Also, for measuring the tear osmolarity, it doesn't need to collect tear sample. Therefore, we simply eliminate the issue of reflex tearing, and we calculate the osmolarity of tear by analyzing the gases emitted from the tear. And there's also a software using the thermodynamic subject and calculation based on thermodynamics. So the TearLens is somehow an ideal solution because it's totally non-invasive, very easy to use and fully automated. Just wear the glasses and click the start button, everything would be automatic. It doesn't have any single-use item, therefore it's more convenient and more cost-effective comparing to other competitors. It is priced $1,000, which is more affordable than our competitors. For example, TerraLab, the price for TerraLab is $9,500, and IPEN is about $2,000. We offer free devices to clinicians, and we generate revenue by subscription through our software. Our financial projection shows that we may lose about $1 million in the first year, assuming that in the first year we will not have any revenue, we cannot catch or capture any part of the market. But we expect to capture 0.2% of the market in the US in the second year and generate about $300K as net profit. And in the seventh year, we aim to capture 12% of the market in the US and generate more than $200 million. Just to mention that while TerraLab and IPEN are the only competitors in the market, they've not been able so far, both of them, they've not been able to capture 100% of the market. And that's due to their limitation to the use of single-use items. So the company, there are different sections in the company. We have sections for developing sensors, software, web apps. Also, we have section for data engineering, cloud computing, which would be the main part of our business later on when there are a lot of data in our cloud system. Also, there's a sales and marketing section in the company. We are a team of highly expert scientists. I've been university professor since 2004, and I'm expert in facial thermodynamics. Hossein is a professor at the University of Calgary. Hamid, a well-respected GP, and Ghazal, a highly educated person from the University of Calgary in biotech business. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any question you may have.
Go ahead, Mark, with your question. You're on mute.
Was there an ask in there, Alireza? Are you looking for money, direction? What did I miss that? Was I not paying attention?
Okay. You know, in fact, we have raised, so far we have raised $50K in US dollar from venture capital for 2% of the company. We've been approved for to apply for a grant of ACE Validate grant for 300K grant from Alberta Innovate. But for the first year, as I said, we may lose $1 million. We may seek for $1 million investment just to cover the first year expenses. But right now we are looking for other part like grants, as we have applied for ACE Validate 300K. So there are other grants we are going to go for, also for investment like CDL. In our slide, in my slide, I didn't mention any ask because, yeah, I'm looking firstly for the ACE Validate and then later on to decide how to go for other funding I need.
Thank you.
Just to mention, the product, the price we have made it $1,000, but in fact the making product is not that costly. Right now, our prototype, which is I showed in the figure right now in the I can show it here. This person now, it is in a clinic, and we are checking the product in the clinic. The product right now making one product costs less than $50. So manufacturing of the product seems to be not expensive. And later on, I may reduce the cost for the first year. So based on that, I didn't mention anything about ask because we have not decided so far.
All right, thank you, Alireza. That was a great presentation. It's like a very valuable technology. Next up, we have Kathleen McMahon, and she's the Director of Regulatory Affairs at Waveview Imaging. They're presenting a microwave technology that is being applied to breast imaging. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Thank you. It's just not letting me share. It says the Alireza might have to. Oh, there we go. All right, everyone can see my screen okay?
Looks great.
Awesome. So hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction there. I'm excited to be here today to give a brief introduction to Waveview Imaging's approach to pain-free and timely breast cancer imaging. So to start, I think it's important to note that 1 in 8 women will experience breast cancer in her life. And I think it's fair to say that almost everyone knows someone who has been impacted by breast cancer. Current gold standard for breast cancer screening, mammography, suffers from misdiagnoses in dense breasts and is a really uncomfortable experience for many. So this really results in low screening uptake in eligible women and missed cancers. Mammography is also routinely offered only to women above the age of 45. Our CEO, Jeremy, actually lost a loved one from breast cancer, and she was a mom with 2 young kids in her 30s. And it was really this loss that sparked our mission here at Waveview, which is to support earlier detection and improve patient outcomes. So we have developed a really simple device that's easy to use and portable. It utilizes non-ionizing microwaves that use about 100 times less power than your cell phone would. It's safe for frequent imaging and it provides immediate results. It's also portable, so it can be transported easily and be deployed in rural communities as well as developing countries. With the ability to scan at any age and as often as needed, we really do have the potential to monitor breast health and catch cancers earlier. This will have life-changing impacts for women everywhere. Our latest device, which you'll see on the right there, is now ready for scalable manufacturing. We have an upcoming study in collaboration with the Tom Baker Cancer Center, where we will be monitoring treatment in cancer patients. We also have interest from oncologists and radiologists who recognize that there are current gaps and unmet clinical needs that our device can help to address. They are interested in testing the device and also support us on our mission, which is fantastic. We also have a provisional patent in place for IP protection. So in terms of preliminary results, We recently are almost completed a 50 healthy volunteer study where we've tracked the consistency of images over time. And what we found is that we do have really stable and consistent scans over large periods of time. So this will allow for the detection of any worrisome changes that may arise. We also have produced 3D images, so this will allow for the improved estimation of tumor dimensions and properties. So there are other competitors on the market developing microwave breast imaging, but as you'll see on the right there, they utilize a really complex and bulky form factor. It's also very expensive. And we actually sort of had a prototype similar to what you're seeing on the right there that we had been developing about 10 years ago, roughly. And so we're very well versed with the limitations of that form factor. Whereas ours on the right, on the left there, you'll see it's portable, it's simple, and it's really versatile as well as cost effective, making it a far more accessible technology. Our revenue model includes the sale of our device with a cloud-based imaging software that will be a licensed service, bringing in recurring revenue with each scan. Dr. Pierre and Jeremy Borky are world-renowned leaders in microwave breast imaging with over 30 years of collective experience. We're also really fortunate to have a supportive group of advisors all working hard to make our device a reality for women. We're currently looking for $650,000 to get us to our next milestone that will significantly de-risk the technology with a finalized design, including FCC and electrical safety clearance. So thank you for taking the time today to listen to my pitch, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I think chances are that most of you here today have an experience with breast cancer, whether you watched a loved one's battle or fought it yourself. And I think we can all agree early detection is critical in improving outcomes, and it's time something changed. So thank you.
Great presentation, Kathleen. It seems like a very useful technology when we're trying to diagnose and image breast cancer.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Aditya, with your first question.
Hi, Kathleen. Just a quick question. What is your false positives and false negative rates? And would you consider other diagnostic imaging platforms also your competitors or only microwave based?
Sorry, can you repeat the last bit of that question?
Do you consider only the microwave based scanning platforms as your competitors, or there are other platforms which use other technologies also for early detection? Would those be competitors as well?
Yeah, that's a really great question. In terms of I'll address the false positives, false negatives first. So currently our studies have just shown stable and consistency over time. And while we have imaged cancer in the past, that will be our upcoming study with monitoring chemo. So as we progress through our developmental pipeline, breast cancer screening sort of is the final and goal application of the device, but we need more data to discern that first. In terms of competitors, I think I would like to make it really clear that while we're not looking to replace any technologies on the market today, supplemental screening really is key in catching cancers that often go undiagnosed in dense tissues, as well as these aggressive forms of cancer we're seeing in women under the age of 45. So the idea really, in terms of other technologies such as ultrasound, mammography, MRI, it's really about adding more tools to our toolkit to ensure that women are getting the screening that they need, provided their risk profile. So to answer that question really in a more concise way is our main competitors are definitely the microwave imaging. Certainly there are other modalities that can be used earlier on, but again, we're confident that with our potential to improve imaging in dense tissues and catch these cancers, it really puts us ahead. So we're excited about that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great questions.
Just wondering what kind of partners you're looking for to continue to grow your product and sales. What are the kind of key expertise that you need to grow your team now?
Yeah, so definitely we're looking for partnerships with healthcare professionals and people within the medical imaging device space. So if you have experience with medical devices and regulatory affairs, or if you are a breast oncologist or radiologist who is looking to test the device or looking for new technologies and innovations for breast cancer imaging, we'd love to connect and potentially collaborate.
I think Mark's got a question.
Okay. I just didn't know if I had time to get it in, Michael. What is the current replacement rate in the existing scanning capacity that's in place? Because if I just bought a machine that doesn't use your technology, I'm probably not in the market. I'm just wondering if you've got any idea about what the replacement rate is in clinics, how long the half-life on the existing equipment. Because if I'm a practitioner, I'm thinking about, well, I got to buy a new machine. So I'm just wondering what the sales cycle will look like, and that's something I think maybe you want to think about a bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it does vary for every technology. It's going to vary for your mammography, your ultrasound, and your MRI. They're all different numbers. That being said, I think it again is not so much that we're looking to replace these, as in, our mammography machine has a shelf life of 15 to 20 years. Well, we just bought a new one, so we can't support this technology. Again, it's a supplemental screening tool, and I think there's sort of a message with breast cancer screening in general that we need to be using supplemental tools to address the weaknesses of these various technologies. Again, having more tools in our toolkit to ensure that these breast cancer cases are not going missed, because unfortunately they are. So in terms of breast density, that's one I like to talk about often. If you have high density breasts, if you're getting your mammogram, it is recommended that you get your supplemental screening. So that can be with both ultrasound and microwave breast imaging. The nice thing is that we are far less expensive and far more accessible than a lot of these other technologies. So to be able to add ours on as a supplemental tool is great.
Great, thanks for your question, Markham. We've got a couple of minutes. We've got a short break just for another minute or two, actually 4 minutes. I just thought I'd put in a plug. Our next event is on May 26th at the Bow in Calgary, and there will be a focus on medical diagnostics and devices. So Kathleen, you'd be welcome to register. That's already online. You can register today, again, for free. Tell your story. That'll have a longer slots in the afternoon in person, and we'll be doing pitches also virtually, probably in the morning. And if it's really busy, we'll extend it to the previous day, the 25th of May. Any other questions for Kathleen or any other general comments? Again, thanks, Zach, for taking time out of your busy day to chair our healthcare and life sciences session. I really appreciate your help. Zach's a student who's worked in my lab, and we just published our first paper together on why artificial intelligence doesn't always work as well as we think it does, actually, and how humans are sometimes smarter than machines. Anyway, Zach is one of those students. So thanks, Zach. Got a few more minutes. Again, any general comments, questions? You can also ask Kathleen or one of our earlier speakers a question. In the meantime, Mike, maybe you can start to get your slides ready. And our next chair is going to be Rakesh Bhatt. So while we're waiting, maybe Rakesh, if you can just show your screen and say hello. Great. And Rakesh,
hi, everybody.
Hi there, Rakesh. Great to have you. Rakesh does a great job managing my lab, and he's also very entrepreneurial. He's set up companies, so he knows what it's like. And I've asked him to chair our first session. So in the meantime, grab a coffee, or if you have a question about DiscoveryLab, about the speakers who've given their stories, or if you have a problem that you want to raise, you've got a few more minutes just to say what you need, what you're looking for, whether it's a partner, collaborator, funder. This is an open forum. We're a friendly place. We just try and help out. So, and Mike, it's great to have you start. I think seeing as there's no hands popping up, why don't you share your screen while Rakesh introduces you?
Sounds good.
Thanks, Michael. Go ahead, Rakesh.
Yeah, so it is my pleasure to chair the clean tech session of this sort of meeting or DiscoveryLab meeting. So the first speaker of the day for the clean tech is Mike Tourigny. He is the CEO of the Acceleware. So what I know or what I read about them online is they are trying to do the decarbonization replacement, like replacing it by steam with the radio frequency, and putting the oil sands towards the net zero carbon emission. So I think they have a good green technology in place. So rest Mike will talk about it. So Mike, it is your floor. So please.
Thanks very much, Rakesh. Just want to make sure everyone else is getting the right screen. Seeing a starting slide, good stuff. Okay, so yes, exactly right. So
Mike,
go ahead, Michael.
Just a second. We got a second here, but maybe you could just expand that to full screen, your PowerPoint, and then
Sure.
we'll be able to have it occupy the entire screen here.
I'm going to try the slideshow, but my Mac likes to, when I go into slideshow mode, it sometimes puts things on weird other desktops. So tell me if you can still see this.
That is perfect. So
Okay.
to start whenever you're ready.
Sometimes it buries it on a screen I can't find and you can't see. So thank you for that, Michael. Yeah, so Acceleware is focused on decarbonizing industrial heat. And really, when we look at the applications we are chasing, they are all driven by fossil fuel combustion, displacing that heat source with electrification, but an electrification that is much more efficient than things like resistive heating and conductive heating. So our focus is on RF energy and the use of that energy across a number of industrial sectors to decarbonize. Now, if we look at RF energy in general, there have been companies around the world, France, all over Europe and Asia, looking to harness the power of radio frequency energy. And we're talking much lower spectrum than microwave. So Kathleen just talked about microwave, which at home or, the licensed stuff is around 915 megahertz to 2.4 gigahertz. We're down in hundreds of kilohertz. So there's a lot of difference there, but people have been trying to harness this. It's been used in small scale applications. It's never hit really big commercial industrial use because the technologies were either limited by efficiency of converting electricity to RF energy, so they were less efficient and more costly than gas, or scalability. They just couldn't get as much power in as you needed to drive a steel plant or other big applications. So we've addressed that. I'm going to have you pretend to read this because I have to show it to you as a public company, and you've read it all, and we can go into the meat. So we believe we've accomplished this. This is what we call our clean tech inverter, or CTI. This is a engine that takes electricity in and puts radio frequency energy out. You're looking at it inside a building that we call our e-house. So it harnesses the CTI is the shiny silver box. Some of the things you see on the wall are the cooling systems that support it. And it puts out 2 megawatts of power. That is a massive amount of power to direct at anything. So it's bigger than really anything you could acquire in any kind of microwave space or RF energy space. And it is 98% efficient at converting electricity in to RF energy out. And when you think about the energy transition as a whole, every single percentage point you lose at taking one form of energy into the end use is a big deal. So when we're running at 98% compared to a microwave or other older technologies for RF energy of 70%, maybe 80% at very best, that's a massive change. So I'm going to walk you through some of what we're doing with this technology across a number of verticals and give you some of the progress we've made. So when we look at all the markets we see applicable here, and you take a look across the whole emission spectrum on the planet, we believe we can influence and bend the curve down in areas that account for 47 to 54% of all emissions on the planet. So it's a really big number. So, take that into perspective. Things like pure transportation, where you have electric vehicles changing the game there, that's a 16% of the pie number. I'm not saying we're going to do all of this. I am not saying we're capable of taking it all to zero, but inside those spaces where there is stationary combustion, whether that is for heavy oil or oil sand production to make steam, whether it's for things like hydrogen production through steam methane reforming, or it's simple things like drying your pet food kibble, drying grain before it goes to market to be processed, or drying products in the processing stages, drying mining ore. All of those things burn gas to make heat, to remove water, or to drive a chemical process. Steel plants, solar panel production, industrial heating, they're all markets that we are going to go after. So where we're at, that CTI technology, we designed that in partnership with GE Global Research. It is a proprietary design. Acceleware owns that patent. We paid GE Global Research to help us design that. It's based on current state leading edge silicon carbide transistors. Our first market, primarily driven because we're in Calgary, is the heavy oil space. The picture you saw before and the pictures you're about to see are of a heavy oil pilot that we are currently operating near Lloydminster, Alberta. It has that 2 megawatt unit there, and it's driving a 500 meter deep well, 800 meters long. We have 3 major oil sand partners. We have Suncor, Cenovus, and a third major who's staying confidential for now. They've each contributed up to $2 million toward that project. We've secured funding from Alberta Innovates, Emissions Reduction Alberta, and Sustainable Development Technology Canada, total of roughly 16 million for a total of a $26 million project. So we've been in the ground for a year now. We are just completing some rework and we'll be returning to the heating stage of that process shortly. A couple months ago, actually in September, we announced a project with Aurora Hydrogen, Edmonton-based methane pyrolysis company. We have now jumped into a project that's been funded by Alberta Innovates to develop and integrate, develop a RF-driven version of Aurora's reactor. They originally started with microwaves. They're continuing to develop their microwave reactor, but they recognized some of the scalability and efficiency benefits that we could bring to them. In addition, we've started working with clients in both the ag space, so drying processed food product, and mineral space, drying mineral ore instead of combusting natural gas or propane to dry that. So we've got those projects all underway, all built on this same CTI technology. When we go over to the commercialization side, we've been running that CTI for over a year. It is now field proven. We've proven that we can run it at scale at 2 megawatts and at 98% efficiency. We expect to have strong results coming in from that pilot later in 2023 and shift into multi-well demos in 2024. We're really excited. I mean, we joke that we picked the hardest application first, and we did, trying to make sure something is going to work when it's 500 meters underground and you can't see it or touch it and know what's actually happening without guesswork or very expensive and very slow processes to pull things out. We're excited to work on hydrogen, on all these drying applications and industrial heating where we can build things and work on them in the same room, same space, test it and turn that around much faster. So we see sub 3-year time in all of those markets to get something to commercial stage. So if you remember that shiny picture of the clean tech inverter, it is inside this building with the orange roof. We call that the E-house. Those are some of the oil production tanks at our pilot. I'm going to keep moving pretty quickly in the interest of time here. So this is a picture of the subsurface. Again, I'm not going to read through everything on the side. This shows you how we work underground. It's very similar to the way SAGD works, with heat going in on top and a production well on the bottom. And if you notice that white building there, hard to see the orange roof from the bottom, but that's the same power source that delivers the energy down those wells. When we talk about the big benefits here, this is what we're talking about. So number one, we can take emissions down to 0 if we had a clean power source. Even using the current grid, we would be half the emissions of SAGD out of the gate. You can see the difference in simplicity and scale when you have a single well pilot on the left for SAGD. That's how much space that takes. There's our single well pilot on the right. Probably a quarter of the space, quarter of the size. And you have a lot less op costs in terms of people running a steam plant, and a lot of overhead gets reduced. So that drives the results at the bottom. Those results are based on a 10,000 barrel a day greenfield plant. So just a clean comparison of the kind of emissions, the energy intensity, and maybe most importantly on the economic side for those for the operators is NPV and cash break even. I'm not going through all this. Again, very complex slide, but want you to understand that we started in the business in 2005. In 2010, it's actually Chevron USA that came to us to help them diagnose why their previous attempts at RF failed. We worked with them for 5 years until their R&D budget was slashed post 2014 drop. We've been working on this project itself, the RFXL technology, we call it, for over 10 years to get to this stage and in the ground. So I'll broaden out here with a perspective on the other markets we're going after. Certainly the heavy oil and oil sand space is very large. Well over 40 billion every year really goes into that kind of enhanced oil recovery. And we see significant opportunity, not only in Canada in heavy oil and oil sand. We have a lot of interest from players large and small in California, in Mexico, Colombia, India, Kuwait, Oman, North Sea. There's a lot of oil out there and a lot of areas of the world that A, don't even use SAGD as a standard, but B, have regulations and drives themselves in those markets to drive down emissions. And in some cases, things like California, to eliminate water use as well. So that's another benefit we bring to the table. On the hydrogen pyrolysis side, our collaboration with Aurora Energy is really exciting. Aurora Hydrogen. Right now, they're expecting their technology with microwaves to be one of the lowest energy per kilogram of hydrogen, and we're going to take that down even further. Industrial heating, we could replace combustion heat in that space, and a very big market. I'm not going to tell you that we're going to knock out or do better than a heat pump, but there are a lot of markets where a heat pump either can't be used, or in the winter you need some way to augment heat, or an industrial process where you need to get much hotter than a heat pump's going to take you. So what we envision there is our advantage being volumetric heating. Radio frequency energy reaches through all the water. It doesn't heat a single point source, so it heats very efficiently and quickly. We believe we can deliver essentially a flow-through heater like you could use for your hot water heater in your home, but picture something like an 8 or 10 inch pipe with very high flow and taking that from cold to hot at the end of the pipe. Bulk solids and crop drying is a interesting space, and I had no idea how many things that we see on the planet. Thank you, I guess. Burn a ton of gas to dry, and we can do that way more efficiently. Again, market research is out there for decades on the efficiency of electromagnetic radiation, whether microwave or RF, but people can't get to the scale, they can't get to an efficiency that will work. Our strategy is not to do all this ourselves. We've had to do it in heavy oil. In hydrogen, we're partnering with Aurora to take our heating engine out. And the partners we're working with in bulk solids and crop drying are customers, and where they're going to pull us through into proof of concept and pilot stage, and then we'll look to partner with players in those spaces to commercialize and distribute the product. Things like highlights here, I would say we've got 13 patents granted, 32 underway, thoroughly vetted by those 3 major operators and government funders. On the oil side, one single deployment would bring in 124 million in revenue to Acceleware. We've got this technology that we believe has broad applicability around the world and in a number of verticals. It's field tested and proven. We're ready to improve on it, A, and start manufacturing it, B. So we've got a lot of opportunity there. We're a public company on the TSX Venture, and we believe we're approaching commercialization on oil and then shortly thereafter with these other applications. And we're still sitting at very early stage valuation. Thank you. Question time, perhaps.
Yeah, so floor is open for the questions. I think we have time for one pressing question. Anybody?
Very impressive talk. If nobody else is going to ask a question, I'm just wondering about the bumpy road that regulation can provide and how you navigate changes in legislation federally and provincially.
Sure. So far, it has been a painful part, but not probably the most painful. So things like regulation around drilling wells, we had to become an operator and get AER approval on the one hand, so that's slow. On the other hand, because we are still at the front end of the process, for us, it was an experimental scheme category, which makes things faster and easier. It also keeps our results confidential for 5 years instead of sharing all the production data with the market while we work to commercialize. So we see those kind of barriers, Michael, but I think as we transition from this first pilot, the next stage of demonstration projects will be more driven by the operators. So we'll fold our technology into their normal processes, and they'll be leading that for us, which gives us the kind of lead time to build systems and be ready to support them in their deployments.
Great. And how do you scale? It's going to cost a lot to build a lot of this infrastructure, manufacturing capability. Is that what you're looking for money for, or where's the money all going to go?
Yeah, that's where the money is going to go, is into scale up. So we believe we can accomplish that through step functions. Our early stage, probably the next 2 years, we can use contract manufacturers to build out boards and sub-assemblies, and then we'll start assembling them ourselves for the 3 to 10 units. As we scale up kind of 20 to 50, we'll build some smaller scale production and assembly, and then we'll be able to manage the logistics depending on where our demand is. If we see a lot of demand offshore in other markets, we'll probably look to do some assembly there, build the boards and things here, but then ship parts and put things together there. There are some proprietary downhole components specific to the oil market that we also manufacture, but could do that under license anywhere in the world that has oil production would have that capacity.
Okay, great, thanks. And I apologize that we're running out of time, but feel free to ask Mike questions in the chat space, and maybe Rakesh introduce our next speaker.
Yeah, so next speaker for the day is from FinTech, Andy Weber. He is the founder of TerraGen Technologies, and they are creating an online marketplace for landowners and the investors to support the sustainable farming practices. So Andy, please go ahead, share your screen.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see you. Okay. Actually, maybe you could just swap displays or.
Yeah, pardon me. I'm using an iPad here, so let me juggle this. Pardon me.
We've got a little break afterwards, so let me see here. Well, actually, after Andy, who's coming next, or actually, this is after your talk, we got so there's a bit of buffer time there. In the meantime, just in case, let me see if Guy Gordon is on deck.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, great. So Guy, just in case we have a problem with a screen share, we're going to swap. And so maybe just see if you could screen swap Guy, and then these two pitches are going to be swapped, if that's okay, while Andy figures out the technical issues. So Guy, if you could just show us your screen if you're ready. No pressure.
I should be 1 second here. 1 second. Where was I?
Kind of last minute, but
yeah, I had myself all set up here. Just give me 1 second.
No problem. Well, Andy's still working on it, so we might get there. Yeah, Andy, how's it looking?
Yeah, pardon me. I haven't done this from an iPad here yet, so I apologize. I'm trying to flip through my options.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to roll if somebody
just full screen it, and we're going to do the swap if that's okay, if you're ready, and then feel free to introduce yourself and you're ready to go.
Okay, let's take it from the top. Yes, I'm ready to go when you guys are. You guys can see everything all right?
Yeah, just full screen display. Just
where's my full screen option?
Yeah, on the bottom there on the left, on the right, I should say, that little umbrella thingy, or under slideshow, I think you can also full screen.
Oh, Jesus.
No pressure.
Okay, hold on. Where are we under?
I'll do F5.
Yeah, F5 might do it as well, but if you hit the tab for slideshow, it should also say go to the first slide and show it in full screen. That's up at the top of your PowerPoint program there.
Sorry about that. I don't know why I've got two machines going. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I can see you're typing, so that's fine.
I think we want to swap. Yeah.
Go up to the top where it says display settings. And now click on that and then say switch presenter view and slideshow, and we should be rocking and rolling.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that should be the one. There we go.
Okay, we ready to roll?
Does that look good for everybody else? I can see your what you're saying at the bottom, but that's fine. I think we can see the slides. So unless there's any concern, we're just going to start.
No,
you can pick it up whenever you're ready, Guy.
Okay, great. Well, very good morning, everyone. My name is Guy Gordon, and I'm happy to represent the 4 co-founders of Pigeon Line Research AI. And our mission as an organization is to disrupt research through automation and artificial intelligence. The business problem we are tackling is that organizations lack the tools and skills to create real-time intelligence for decision makers. The problem is that organizations traditionally are bound by 2 challenges. One, they have to typically go out and hire vendors to collect this data and produce reports. Secondly, they don't take that approach. They go to hire engineers to build a dashboard. The problem is that both are expensive, slow, and difficult for managers to customize to their needs. We have built an AI platform, a SaaS platform that enables organizations to generate real-time intelligence from the business models they trust, and they can do this in minutes. What's unique about our AI is that we incorporate a new and novel approach to combining natural language processes to generate themes and sentiment. We use leading industry prediction algorithms in a simple to use drag and drop environment. And lastly, we use recommendation engines to clean data and suggest results. Here's how it works. Quite simply, anyone accessing our system, regardless of their technical skills or ability as a data scientist, can upload our data, where our interface uses AI to help find and classify data from any legacy format. Common but tedious analysis and time-consuming analysis is conducted automatically, and we provide reporting that's modern, insightful, and can be produced in clicks. Reports that typically took organizations up to 6 weeks to produce can now be done in minutes. And this is where clients report their biggest value proposition to date. Here's a client example. We worked with a large US airport where we analyzed 6 months of data across 30,000 passengers. What traditionally took their team weeks took minutes using research AI. Airport managers were able to find what was upsetting passengers, which specific passengers were upset, and what could be done to address their concerns in real time. This is a list of our 10 current customers. They represent 3 industries: the public sector, market research, and academia. We are on track to double the number of clients to 20 by the end of 2023. I am very pleased to highlight this morning that the Conference Board of Canada, the largest research company in Canada, is our largest, newest, and most profitable customer. We are also about to start a large trial with Farm Credit Corporation, who, if we are successful, will be our most sophisticated customer. I would also like to note that we are expanding into the United States and the United Arab Emirates through partnerships with the University of Texas, Austin, and the Dubai's Futures Foundation. Here's a quick snapshot we can come back to of our business model. The bottom line is that our operation, being a SaaS platform, is profitable and the margins are high. We are looking for an investment of $350,000. The goal is to grow our MRR from $9,000 to $90,000 through investing in proven sales, in a proven and sales marketing team to expand into new industry segments. Secondly, we seek to leverage and learn how to leverage key digital marketing tools and services. And 3, we intend to add customer support managers to support our growing list of clients. As you can see, we are on the verge of exciting growth, and we're looking for partners, particularly partners with experience at scaling SaaS products who can work with us to maximize our potential. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much for that, Guy. Are there any questions? Trixie is supposed to be chairing this, and I think she might not be in yet, but welcome any questions on your presentation, and thanks again for swapping.
Not a problem.
Just wondering if you can clarify again, what kind of advisors or what would you really look for from this event? And is there anything in particular in Alberta that might be helpful for you as you continue to explore?
Yeah, well, I'll speak to the Alberta dimension first. We have made inroads in the public sector at the provincial level in British Columbia, the Yukon, Saskatchewan, federal government, to the New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. But the government of Alberta is an area where we would look some support. We have had conversations, and we had preliminary conversations with AltaML, who runs a series of labs with the government of Alberta, and we know that that the province and the AI is a major investment priority and a strategic priority for the government of Alberta. So that would be an area where we would look for assistance. But as you can see, while we feel very comfortable with the 3 market industries we're working on now, we are really looking for some assistance in being able to basically translate and transfer the applicability of our tool and use cases into other industries. That is where we're looking for assistance in helping us grow. So we're at a stage now where we're now trying to validate that we've got the basics of being able to scale, but what we really need are partners who can, with a track record, to help us scale beyond what we've sort of laid out here as a fairly conservative growth pattern. Anyway, that will be my answer to your question, Dave.
Sure. And maybe if there's any other questions, we've got time for maybe one more. If not, maybe you could just mention briefly what your strategy is for intellectual property and protecting what you're developing, the value there.
Yeah. At the moment, our focus on intellectual property has been to go with a trade secrets strategy, which is to keep the IP and effort that we're building through ongoing development and research and development under wraps.
Okay, that's
we have thought a little bit more. We have thought a little bit more about formalizing some potential patents, but still considering whether that's the right way to go.
Makes sense to me. Mark's got a question. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm just wondering if you have thought about scraping a Yelp or some set of customer comments and ratings for a large burger chain or a hotel to show them what you can do very quickly for them off of a web scrape of customer as a way to get in the door to some of these larger retail outfits that might want to talk to you.
Well, funny you should say that. We have done that with respect to our public sector clients, particularly the ones that we have worked with, the Service Ontario's, the Service Canada's, and Service BC. We have done that for all of their locations, and that technique and strategy has worked well. But to be perfectly honest, we haven't got ourselves organized sufficiently to sort of think through who we would target and do some of that active targeting. We're sort of still totally preoccupied with working through these first 10 clients, but that's a great idea. I like it, and we have we've done it, but we haven't applied that to other industry verticals. But I like what you're saying.
Okay, great. And I think we better wrap it up there. I'm just going to ask Andy how you're doing there. I know you had a bit of difficulty sharing your screen. If you're not ready to go, I'm going to ask Fred if he could pitch next. And while he's getting ready to do that, Andy, I'm not hearing from you. I want to thank Trixie or Andy. Feel free to let us know how things are going.
I'll just make one reference to Mark's comments that he posted. We have absolutely no problem. We are patient, and we have two things that we've got. We have an incredible credibility and network in the public sector, and we're patient. We will go with the long sales cycles, because once you have them for a long time, and they pay a premium, and they always pay their bills. So patience, and we have no problem being patient in that regard.
Okay, Guy, thanks. And you can continue to answer comments in the chat space.
Sure.
And Andy, let's see if you can screen share. That looks good, Andy. So I think we can see your control panel, and now we can see TerraGen. So go ahead and pitch.
Okay, you guys can hear?
Yep, you're good.
Good. Okay. Thanks for the flexibility here, everybody. Some of you, or many of you may not be aware of this, but the Canadian family farm is becoming a thing of the past. With the tremendous cost of starting a farm, especially for new farmers starting out, the cost of capital is just simply too high. And actually, many farmers who are nearing that retirement age are actually refusing to hand over operations to their next generation, simply because of the massive debt load that they don't want to put onto the next generation. And what that's doing is that's creating an opportunity where the USDA predicts that roughly 70% of American farms will change hands in the next 20 years. That's about 32 million acres every single year. That's in America alone. And that doesn't account for any other farming countries like Canada, Brazil, Paraguay, or Australia, et cetera. And just in America alone, that works out to about $150 billion in annual valuation that's going to change hands. Now, there's a handful of companies that are working on improving access to some alternative funding models for these farmers, but because they rely on traditional investment tools and investment vehicles, they still only service a very select investor pool. Accredited investors only. They have large minimum investments, long lock-in periods, etc. So our solution is to use blockchain, and we're going to create a crowdfunding platform built on the Ethereum platform that offers fractional ownership opportunities to retail investors as well as to accredited investors. And using an online marketplace, we can dramatically increase liquidity for these tokens. So right now our team is fairly small. I graduated from the Founder Institute Startup Accelerator last spring out of the Toronto cohort. And Kyle is, I've known Kyle for over 15 years. He manages a 30,000 acre operation here in Southern Manitoba, where I'm located. And currently, yeah, we're excited to grow this thing, and we see a real opportunity here. And while our team is small, we're excited to grow. And in the meantime, we're leaning pretty heavily on our team of advisors and mentors to help guide the ship. Henry Friesen has years of experience in the oil and gas industry, and he patented some equipment that's still being used in the fracking industry, and he had a successful exit there. Jade is the vice president of the Canadian Blockchain Consortium, and Evelyn is the vice president, or the president, sorry, of the Valhalla private capital in both Regina and Saskatoon. And so each of these advisors is providing key support and mentorship for us as we look to go live. So our revenue model is pretty simple. We charge either a listing fee or a commission on either side of these transactions, about 2.5% to 3% typically. And then we also charge a 1% annual recurring service fee on every wallet balance that's connected to our platform. Additionally, we'll retain ownership of 1% of each property that we list through our platform, just so that we have a vested interest in the growth and success of each of those LP units as well. So currently, we've engaged with Osler as our securities firm. They're writing our offering memorandum as we speak, and I should have it in my inbox. I'm told by Matthew Burgoyne, our securities lawyer. I should have it in my inbox before lunch. We've hired a fractional CTO who's a former Google engineer. He's done a number of early stage startups. He helped create the MVP for the DraftKings sports betting website, for example. And we are negotiating the final terms of an agreement with Alan Wunsch from tokenfunder.com. He will be our exempt market dealer and provide the regulatory oversight to get us live and legal in Canada. We're using some Google AdWords to grow our customer list, and we've got some investors from some local farmers who are trying to support our project as we go live. I have commitments from a few landowners who are willing to sell their pieces of property through our platform, provided they can have a long-term rental agreement on there, which is exactly what we're looking to do. So right now we're looking for seed round investors. We're looking at potentially doing a seed round near the end of this year, likely, and those funds will be used to help scale our platform, increase our marketing efforts, and to continue to fine-tune our platform from there. Thanks for your time.
Any questions for Andy? And I also just want to welcome Trixie, who's going to be chairing the session, but while she's getting ready, Andy, just wondering what your ideal client is. I guess there's large and small farms out there, family businesses, corporations. What does your ideal customer look like?
Yeah, we were just creating that list today. I think ideal would be somebody probably 50 plus, who is a professional, who has either a previous entrepreneur, or they have a professional career, and have some other real estate investments, looking to diversify their investment portfolio. So yeah, kind of that 50 plus, looking for some a little more stable and secure versus some higher risk, higher return alternatives.
Sounds great. Any other questions from the crowd?
Yeah, I'll jump in, Michael. It's Mike McGee from Bioenterprise, Andy. Bill Gates is the largest private farm landowner in the United States now. It's a great asset class. Farm Credit Canada comes out with a report every year showing appreciation in land values anywhere from 6 to 10%. but there are restrictions on foreign ownership of land, particularly in Saskatchewan and elsewhere. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the regulatory environment and the liquidity issue, which is obviously a real concern in terms of long-term buy and hold and exits on farmland?
Sure. On the regulatory side, for all the Canadian farms that we list, there will have to be Canadian investors. I mean, for the right amount of money, almost anything is possible, right? So we could potentially find some workarounds, and I've been talking to the team at Osler about potentially, looking for foreign opportunities. Currently, the only restriction in Canada for farmland ownership is you have to be a Canadian citizen. So it still opens it up nationally. But yeah, Canadian farmland would have to be owned by Canadian investors. The beauty of this thing is, as soon as the technology is built, like, it's not bound by any borders, so we can launch. I had a call with a market dealer out of the US yesterday, and they operate, their jurisdiction is global. Really, Canada is their only is the only jurisdiction that's off limits for them. So the software doesn't have to change at all. It's only the regulatory oversight that has to change in other countries as well. Sorry, I missed the second part of your question. Oh, the liquidity. Yeah, so we'll take every acre and we break it into $50 tokens. So, if I pay 1,500 bucks for per acre, then that creates 30 tokens. If we pay 15,000, like we would here in Southern Manitoba, where I'm located, for potato land, then you get 300 tokens out of it. So these would be listed on a secondary marketplace. So if you want to sell some of your tokens, these are just single LP units. You list them on the exchange marketplace, and any other verified user who's gone through the KYC and AML account setup, they would be able to purchase those.
Okay, thanks, Andy. There's a question from Mark.
Yeah, Andy, who manages the farm asset once it's been tokenized into the Ethereum claim? So someone has to plant the crop, harvest the crop, sell the crop. Who's doing that for me?
Yeah, so we'd find local partners in each of those jurisdictions wherever we find that land. Like, obviously, I'm not going to go out and jump on a tractor in each of these territories. That's just not possible. But we have farm operations across the country that are looking to scale up, but maybe don't have access to capital. So using a crowdfunding model like ours, we can provide that capital. The people who are putting the capital up front, they get the long-term growth value of this thing, and the farmer who is looking to scale up his operation, he still gets the revenue from each of those acres. So it's a win-win on both sides.
Thank you.
I didn't catch this, but how do you prevent like exploitation if somebody just wants to put a Disney World or something on it instead of a farm?
Yeah, so we have just contracts that would bind that, and really, like, our goal would be to incentivize farmers who are using more sustainable farming practices. I mean, we can just write any contractual rental agreement saying the farmer will use the land in this manner and do that kind of thing. But yeah.
Great, thanks. I really want to thank you, Andy, for presenting. That was great talk. And hand it over to Trixie, who's our next chair. Take it away, please.
Hi, yeah, so thanks, Michael. This next session is focused on data and AI. So we already had Guy Gordon present earlier, but our next speaker is Fred Glawischnig, who is the CEO of Credit Gurus, which is a financial tech company that brings together credit products, services, and experts needed to help improve their credit online. So the floor is yours. I believe you're still.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Excellent. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Fred Glawischnig. Great job, Trixie. That's a very tough name to pronounce. And our company is Credit Gurus, and it's Canada's first online credit improvement service. So the problem we're looking to solve is that 1 million Canadians go shopping for credit every month. And the analysis on those customers is 800,000 now are deemed non-prime or to have subprime credit, according to TransUnion, the credit report provider. And in some of the sectors, like automotive and in non-prime lending, for instance, in automotive, 46% of those applicants will not receive an approval. And in non-prime online lenders like Loan Connect, the Fairstone Financials, Easy Financials of the world, upwards of 90% of their applicants will not receive an approval. So the current options are simple, is to help these people improve their credit. However, the current credit improvement landscape is very expensive, and it's embarrassing for a lot of people to deal with because there's a lot of one-on-one interaction. And because of that, because of the expense, it becomes very difficult for people to manage. And these applicants are out of money and they need help now. So Credit Gurus helps people improve their credit online, and it's confidential and professional, and they can do it from the privacy of their own home. They're able to resolve their credit issues, sometimes by cutting ties to their past debts, but always by creating a gateway to a new financial future. So I get asked this question a lot, is why Credit Gurus and why now? Well, consumer insolvency is on the rise. It's up 23% from last year. And, you know, depending upon which experts you talk to in the finance industry, some people say that we're on the verge of a recession or in a recession. But we're definitely, I think we could probably all agree that we're definitely heading into some uncertain economic times. And with the Bank of Canada having a loss for the first time in 73 years of $1 billion in 2023, and forecasted losses of $4 billion for 2024 or 2023, we believe that the days of easy credit in Canada are starting to come to an end. The days of charging your things to Uber Eats and constant eating out and those types of habits that have led to poor financial decisions, I think are coming to an end for most consumers. So how does Credit Gurus work to help applicants improve their credit? Well, as we source, instead of going on a B2C model, we have a B2B model, which we source our applications from retailers and lenders whose applications fail to receive an approval. The applicants are analyzed by our proprietary algorithm screen to determine their best path forward. And the results are delivered by a video-powered platform that we call Simplicity, that makes the hard stuff easy to understand. And when the client is ready, they're connected to the options, experts, products, and services that they need to move forward. So what makes Credit Gurus unique from the current credit improvement models? Well, one is our decisioning algorithm, which analyzes the application with incredible accuracy and predicts the best path forward, removing human error and subjective analysis from the process. The results that are delivered by our Simplicity platform, where everything is delivered by a video messaging, which removes the embarrassment factor and helps empower and helps educate consumers to make better decisions. And it's simple. And because it's powered by video, it's a very consistent user experience. So combined together, it creates a very powerful fintech platform. Pardon me. So our strategy of bringing Credit Gurus to the marketplace was to develop what we call our MVP-A, which automated the Simplicity platform and created a retailer app for the app for the retailers and lenders to be able to track how their applicants are doing, so that they can best follow the applicant's experience and target their marketing efforts. We have a marketing plugin to be able to gain consent to when we're transferring data from the dealership to Credit Gurus, and we've applied for our trademarks. And as we move forward to develop our second MVP and eventually our MMP, our goal is to eventually be able to provide credit reports through an app experience for all three of our stakeholders. That would be the applicant, the retailer or lender, and the expert. So our traction so far has been, we've been testing, and we were testing it last year in 2022 in 7 automotive dealerships in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia, in a wide variety of areas and demographics. And we started our monetization model in February of this year, and we're onboarding our second paid subscriber in Nova Scotia. Because Credit Gurus is versatile and designed to plug into retail industries, we chose to target the automotive industry first. And the reason for that is, well, one is I came from that industry and I had a lot of great contacts and inroads to get the tools and the data that we needed to test our models. The second reason is because if we can make it work in auto, we can make it work everywhere. We designed Credit Gurus, as I said, to be versatile, so it can be offered wherever retail credit is offered. For instance, at dealerships, furniture lenders, motorsports. And we also designed it to do bulk data processing for large lenders, like we are currently in discussions with Credit Karma's Loan Connect, Easy Financial, and Fairstone Finance to help their applicants, their declined applicants, rehabilitate their credit. Our monetization model is two-sided. A SaaS subscription model from our retailers and our lenders that range from $5.99 to $14.99 a month, depending upon the marketing plugins and how often they would like us to, how aggressive they would like to go in that area. And on the other side of the applicant, we have a combination of pay per lead and per connection and per conversion model from our experts. And the applicant always uses the platform for free. Because after all, these people already have enough financial troubles. We shouldn't be saddling them with monthly obligations. Our plan to go to market is to secure our 100 retailer subscriptions in 2023. We're going to do that by growing our sales team and creating an industry referral program for people that are already going in, salespeople that are already going into dealerships and offering their current products. And we're working with other retail lenders right now to create a program to use Credit Gurus as a promotional item. For instance, one lender sees using Credit Gurus to say, if you sign up with Credit Gurus and give us first look of your subprime finance paper, we'll even pay your subscription this month. Our revenue projections for 2023 are based on securing 100 retail subscribers. In 2024, a total of 300 subscribers and 500 for 2025. We're currently raising $300,000 on a safe note with a valuation cap, a discount, and a favored nation clause. The investment will be used to develop the MVPB app for all parties so that we can submit that to the credit bureau providers in order to get approved for data provision. That process takes an additional year and a half. Then at that point, we'll achieve MMP, or minimum market. Our marketing will be used also for marketing to build our brand presence and for us to expand to 100 subscribers, and for legal to complete the trademark of the Credit Guru's name, and to IP protect our Credit Guru's technology. Today, if you were to search Credit Gurus on Google, you will find that there are a lot of people out there using the Credit Guru's name, and we definitely need to protect that. Our team is a combination of industry experience, technical expertise, and problem-solving skills. Myself, I come from the automotive industry, automotive retail lending industry, and I'm considered one of the experts in subprime and non-prime financing. I was winner of Chrysler's 2017 Award of Excellence in Finance and Financial Services. Our other co-founder is Tony Kubridis, who's joined our team just recently as their CGO, and he's a former director of sales from Auto Trader Canada. And I feel the perfect person to be leading our initiative. Greg Albert is one of the brains behind Credit Gurus that helped us develop our product. And we just recently started onboarding our sales team for Western Canada. That includes Terry Hicks and a joint venture hire with Rossi Financial with Murray Brown. Murray already works for Rossi Financial, and he walks into almost 100 dealerships every month, offering and checking on his dealer clients. So Rossi Financial is one of our suppliers that offers savings loans through one of their brands called Credit 180. We felt it was a natural partnership given that we had built our companies together, and Murray has been a delight to have on the team. The feedback that we get from our customers, it's heartwarming, and the team really feels the effects of the work that we do every day. We deal with people that are a lot of times with credit scores well under 500 and are circling the drain financially. When they work with Credit Gurus, they feel an incredible sense of relief. And I'm proud to say that we just recently earned our first 5-star Google review. So we're inviting people to join us on our mission to change the financial futures and credit of millions of Canadians. Any questions?
Thanks, Fred. And the floor is open for any questions.
If no one else asks, I'm going to do it again. But Mark, you've always got good questions, so feel free. But just wondering about your perfect client. I mean, if they're really stressed and don't have much money, I don't see how you can make a decent profit. Are you looking at, what's your perfect customer in order to develop the profit to scale your operation?
Fantastic, Michael. Great question. Given that we have three stakeholders in our model, one, of course, is our retailer or lender, the applicant, and our expert. So we have basically three ICPs involved with credit gurus. So I'll just take a second to touch upon our dealership model. We look for dealerships that are active in subprime lending, spending a minimum of $10,000 per month on lead acquisition. To them, Credit Gurus is a great plug-in for their dealership because 46% of those applicants are winding up in the trash. So instead of the trash can, they're being cycled over to Credit Gurus. And they pay the monthly subscription for that to happen because, after all, they're the ones that are going to win the most when these customers rehabilitate their credit so that they can sell them a car. And on the other side of the customer, Michael, is our experts. Our experts, they pay us a combination of pay per lead, per conversion, depending upon the industry that they're in. We're partnered with insolvency companies, credit card companies, and other lenders and credit support products like BorrowWell. We seek out the best suppliers in that area. Took us a long time to build those relationships because the Credit Gurus model was considered unique. And now that it's no longer unique, these guys, we're really proud of the partnerships we built. And when it comes to our customers, we're seeking people that have been post-adjudicated. They just heard the bad news call. They just got the call from the finance manager. And Michael, to give you an example, I was one of those guys that had to make 9 or 10 of those phone calls a day. And I can tell you, I've been called every day with the book when I had to do those calls. My mom's even been called a few days on those calls. And in one case, I even had somebody come into the dealership and spit on me. Credit Gurus is a product that not only helps the customer, but it does help our retailers avoid employee attrition as well.
Okay, that's great. Any questions from the crowd? If not, I think your brand is really important because you're the good guys that are going to help these stressed individuals. So how are you going to get that brand really clear? Other people are using Credit Gurus. They're in your space. You've got to trademark it and protect it. What are you going to do about your brand?
Well, that's the great part about this, Michael, is once we do receive our trademark, we will be enforcing it. On the other side, we're the first ones into that. We're the first ones into this space. And there have been a few people that are trying to copy us. And they haven't quite figured out the model. We walk the line between two heavily regulated industries, one being automotive and the other one being insolvency. We built a compliant model, and we worked heavily and got a lot of our information to build this model so that it was regulator compliant on both sides of the customer. There isn't anybody that's achieved that. And we're really proud of the model that we brought forward. The closest person to us right now is a company out of Western Canada. I don't want to mention their name. That is basically acquiring applications from auto dealers similar to the model that we are. However, they're using a call center approach with no analytics and pressuring customers into insolvency and bankruptcy. I feel that they're going to have a very limited window in the market, and I think that we're going to be the one that's going to be the one to catch up to when it comes to everybody wanting to get involved in this space.
Great, thanks, Fred. Any other last question before we move on to our next speaker? And I think Aaron might be ready to chair. Trixie, thanks so much for chairing. One more question for Fred, or shall we move on? I got to keep on schedule today. So how are we doing on time? I think 10, we actually have a few minutes. So maybe another question for Fred. I'm sure it's a fascinating view into a new world for me, at least, of, I guess another question is how do you scale to other sectors other than automotive? I can see a lot of space that you could move into there. Is it very relationship based in terms of how you find that fine line of regulation and compliance in a given sector?
Great question, Michael. Yes, we do seek out people that are like-minded individuals that are looking to innovate. However, the future for Credit Gurus is, yes, to establish our market presence. However, when it comes to large automotive groups, for instance, somebody that owns over 100 dealerships, Credit Gurus may not be the best solution for them. So I feel that as we grow to 100 retailers and we leave aside MVPA, that we can work on MVPA and clean that up and license it out to those large dealer groups that want to operate their own system.
Very good. Thank you very much. Insightful again. I think if there's no questions, I'm going to thank you, Fred, for a great talk. And I'm going to move it into our next session, unless there's any general questions. I want to stay on time. And I think maybe Aaron is here, maybe Kelly is here. So we'll start the next talk. We have 2 more after Kelly. So we got a busy morning, and I really appreciate everybody sticking around to ask questions, get feedback from all the teams presenting today. So Aaron, take it away.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Michael. And thank you to all the advisors and the participants so far for sticking with us. And we're almost to the end of the first segment of the Discovery Lab event. Our next segment is about energy and resources, and the next venture is looking to disrupt the solar energy market by making solar and batteries accessible to all income homes across North America. So I'd like to invite Kelly Hall, CEO of Vermillion Power Technologies, to present further. Kelly.
Oops.
Hi, Kelly.
Sorry about that. I thought somebody else was ahead of me, and I was just about to get myself ready. So I do apologize for that. Let me just share my screen.
We're a couple minutes ahead, Kelly, so no problem. Well, actually, we're right on schedule. So it's actually it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, right on schedule. Amazing. And good to have you. I know you've had a lot going on there in Calgary, so I'm really glad you came today virtually. And your screen is coming up. Just maximize, and you're good to go.
Okay, let's see how this works. All right, how does that? Is that oops, not where I wanted to be, however, but let me move back. You guys got a little bit there, a little bit of a preview. Okay, so first of all, hello everybody, and thank you so much for your time. I am co-founder and CEO for Vermillion Power Technologies, and we are a power electronics design company. And what we found at the beginning of COVID is that we actually had some time on our hands, and we decided to look into really how could we, with our very specialized skill set, help with the transition to renewable energy. And when we get into so we started with looking in the market, and what we found is that 52% of US homeowners are seriously interested in getting into solar, but only 6% have gone ahead and installed it. So first of all, it's a $500 billion market that's just been left unaddressed. There's a lot of competition trying to get into that space, obviously. But the real thing that we looked at too is why. And it's because getting into solar is complicated. And because it's complicated, it's very expensive. So what we did was actually come back and look at that complication and how do we make it simple? And we came up with a completely different architecture, which is patent pending. And what it means is that we've been able to develop a truly modular, very simple and cost-effective system for getting into solar. So you can start small, you can do big. And so let's take a look at that market. So today's market leader, Enphase, this is a picture of their system right now and what they consider plug and play. So what we've done is basically said this big box on the left, what they call a switch box, and a number of other components that you can't see, we actually don't need in our system anymore because of the architecture. And what it means is that that system is replaced by this. So it's much easier to install, significantly fewer components, and a much lower price point. And then we looked at it and said, right, so how do we want to get into that market to begin with? And because it's a modular based system, you look at the smaller end, which are called solar generators. You might have seen them around. You might be familiar with them. But what we've done is basically been able to create a starter kit, which is that power bar, one battery, one solar panel. And the solar panel plugs into the same part of the power bar there as the battery. But one of the great things about this particular design and that architecture is that that power bar can, power anything plugged into it that you want to put in, but you can swap in and out any combination of 4 batteries and up to 20 solar panels. So it makes it very easy to start into solar. So then we went back to the market and said, okay, well, how does this fit in the market? So if you think of this as solar generators, each one of these blocks is a solar generator, and they can all be plugged together in any combination that you want. We took that to the market, and we got an overwhelmingly positive response that people are interested in this product, even when they already have solar installed. So it's quite a different way of looking at the product, or looking at the market. And so to summarize that market and where we are with it, it's very fractured and complicated. So when you think about, not so much here in Calgary or Edmonton, but we want to actually get power from a place other than the grid, usually for energy resilience reasons, then the most popular is gas generators. And those gas generators, they're hard to use, they smell, all those good things. But the next part of it is those solar generators are starting to break into that market. Those tend to be ruggedized. They were designed originally for camping. They're small, and they're not meant to be expanded. You can buy different size kits, but they're not expandable in between. And then you move on to the whole home system, right? So it's a giant jump in the market to that whole home system, which most people are familiar with. They're large, they're expensive, and they're really addressing that 6% of the market, and only 6% of the market. So a lot of products may look the same as ours when you Google them, but ours is actually the only one that lets you have that flexibility. Plug in any number of batteries, any number of solar panels, and go from there. And so the business model in terms of how do we get out there? VPT is not a manufacturer. We are a company that designs for manufacture. So we will be partnering with an OEM to do that manufacture and assembly, and also really to get that first delivery of the initial distribution of the products out into the market. We're partnering with solar panel providers, battery providers, and app providers as well, really to assemble that kit, because the IP is around that architecture and the technology within that. And by doing that, we can get to the market a lot faster. We have the capability in-house to do all these things, but we really don't want to do that. We want to get to the market faster and leverage what's already there. And then in terms of getting to the market, it's two parts. What we're finding is that customers really want to see both online and in-person product availability. But because we can go directly to our customer, we don't need an installer. It means that we can actually create a customer experience, an online customer experience, and really connect with the market through that. Beachhead market is Texas. And from there, we would be looking at small hardware stores, really figure out how it works in the market from there again. And everything is always stepwise expansion after we've learned. Who we are. I'm Kelly Hall, as I mentioned. I've been delivering new products and large-scale projects, building teams for about 30 years. And for me, it's about delivery, really just getting it over the line. And that just drives me. And I'm really thrilled to be working with Phil, because Phil has spent most of his career finding markets for products that exist but have failed. And what he got to do with us is actually find the market first, and then we're delivering that product. And delivering that product, of course, is with Ray. He's been doing this for 40 plus years and is really the brains behind this new technology. So right now we're going to be starting a raise for $3 million. The new part of the technology has been proven. The raise will get us all those starter kit pieces together, large scale testing, UL certification, all that type of stuff to get it out into the product. We have a US utility waiting already for us because they want to pilot our product with their customers. And we are still in price discovery mode. So part of that $3 million is also market research. And so really that's the pitch for now. And I'm looking forward to any questions and of course, connecting in the future if anybody would like a demo.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for a great presentation. I think we have a question, Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Kelly. This is very interesting, but I took a look at your webpage for Vermillion Power Technologies, and I'm guessing that you do a lot of other things. Are you going to take this power cell idea that we just saw and form an independent company and do the raise outside of your ongoing business? Because you're doing a lot of consulting and a lot of other things. Or is this ask going to buy me a fraction of this product and platform plus all of your other activities? Because if I want to invest in this, I want you to be focused on this.
Right. So actually what's we've had a lot of discussions with the board on that. And the work that we've been doing in terms of projects are supplemental to this and actually feed back in. So when you've got a team that is in this kind of space, doing projects actually helps us learn, takes it back into the product and vice versa. So far the board has actually said, and we've been putting forward that this is a company position, including the projects. Now, the projects in the last 2 years have been a lot significantly reduced, and we haven't really gone out and done that part of it. So you're right, there is some confusion around that, but that is the presentation right now.
Because I just want to, I'm going to leave you with one word. I'm going to say it 3 times. Focus, focus, focus.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'm wondering about supply chains and production and how vulnerable you are, where you're producing, and how difficult it is to get to international markets.
Yeah, so we're actually getting into a partnership for manufacture in Edmonton. And the products that are the component parts, one of the advantages of being a design house is as component parts on the electronic side, which is the core of it, change, we don't really have a problem responding to that. So we actually have a fairly flexible bill of material for our product. And, you know, then it comes into the contract positions of getting those partnerships in and getting the guaranteed supply for things like the solar panel and those specific battery parts.
Okay, other questions, welcome. Just wondering where your biggest profit margin in terms of focusing in on where you can really grow most effectively.
Yeah, so the start is actually in that expandable solar battery or solar generator space. To get into the market, that's the easiest place to get in. But the really big driver is getting into those whole home systems. So what we've done right now is that pricing that we've looked at is based on a 50% product margin for VPT and a 50% margin for the distributors. Now we understand that we're probably going to be able to do more or need to do more than that when we roll out. And that is big, you know, that's something that we would look with our partners about how we want to do that pricing in order to get that higher margin. But when you get into the whole home systems, which is why 60, you know, the original work is being done there now, you get the volumes, right? You get 40 solar panels being sold instead of 10. And so getting into that space is ultimately where we want to get to.
Great, Kelly, thanks. I really apologize, but we got to keep rolling just because we got 2 more to go. But thanks so much. Aaron, feel free to introduce our next speaker.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kelly. Thanks a lot, Michael. I would encourage everyone to leave their questions for Kelly in the chat section, and hopefully Kelly will answer. The next venture is looking to bring the power of AI and machine learning to industries like energy, resource development, clean tech, and a few others to help traditional industries leverage AI to optimize operations and bring in efficiency. I'd like to invite Jason Hendrick, president of OceanML, to present further. Jason, the floor is yours.
Just unmute, maybe.
Yes, I think you're on mute, Jason.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. I'm just going to get my presentation into full screen here. And let's see. There we go. Right on.
Yeah, perfect. Looks great.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Jason. Coming to you from Whistler, BC. It's snowing lightly right now. I'm just taking a week off with my family, but OceanML is a Calgary-based startup. And our motto there is intelligent insights for your ecosystem. I'm just going to go through the team, the opportunity, our solution, the landscape, marketing, sales, and revenue, our financial projections, and our ask. So I'm a co-founder with Josh. We both met each other working for AltaML, a Calgary or an Edmonton-based applied AI company. And you know, my background is in geophysics and startup. I co-founded a company called Summit Nanotech, and led me to my MBA program, which led me to working at AltaML. and working in business development, and Josh was working in machine learning. And we found that there was a few things that, the industry was really missing, and some opportunities that weren't being captured by some of the companies there. And so we came up with a few different ways to build a company. And so currently we have, 2 of us, we've got 2 interns and some board advisors with a lot of experience. And we wanted to use machine learning to help businesses grow and improve their operations and meet some of those machine learning adoption challenges. So our advisory team is these 4. Gary is a co-founder of Fast Science. He it has over 700 franchises now. When he exited, there was 450 franchises. He was the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And so he currently is a consultant for scale-ups. Brad is a software engineer. He focuses on teams, scaling engineering operations, helping companies deliver value. Ron is an executive level at, he's retired now, but he was working for Nova Chemicals, and change management, people management, executive leadership. And Ryan, scaling delivery, reorganizing engineering operations, building high performance teams. So we also have an Alberta Innovates technology development advisor to help us with our growing our business. So the opportunity, machine learning is out there, companies are using it, but there's a lot of challenges with that. And so some of those challenges include high cost to entry, clunky dashboards, actually recognizing the value of using the ML model. And so the opportunity is very large, but there's still some serious adoption challenges for mid to small companies that want to adopt machine learning. And so what do? We focus on companies in the $10 to $100 million revenue range. This is a little bit lower than some of the successful companies like OceanML focus on larger companies to find those optimizations of cost. Because a machine learning project can often start at $50,000 and be well over $200,000 by the time the model is deployed. So companies that want to automate or optimize their operations would use an ML model. We work with strategic partners to strengthen our ML portfolio. So different tools can be used for ML models, implementation, visualization, very important pieces to deploying machine learning. We're initially targeting public sector clients. It's kind of a quicker win than more specific cases. They have a lot of repetitive tasks that can be automated, and that allows their employees to move to higher value tasks. And any company that wants to automate or add predictions to their decision-making process would also benefit from our services. 2 of our competitive advantages are listed there. As you see, going through data prep, model training, once you deploy and maintain the model, this is where our competitive advantages come in. So our integrated deployment and business consulting. So finding that actual value. My background, I have over 10 years with Nexen in the oil and gas industry. I have startup experience. I worked in healthcare. Josh is an engineer. He brings a unique technical background. He's a mechanical engineer, so designing, facility modeling, and then maintenance. We're working on a proprietary maintenance automation, so to reduce costs for that long-term machine learning maintenance. Currently, we have 3 phases. The first phase is working with a client to build the strategy, education, awareness, ideation. Phase 2 is looking at the data. It's the exploratory data analysis. What's the feasibility of the model? Key insights. And phase 3 is the actual model development and experimentation. Beyond that would be the deployment and refinement with visualization tools. These are all different cost packages, but they start at $2,500. And that's a very attractive entry-level price. So some of the other companies that are working in this space, AltaML, Testfire Labs, Orbital AI, Sensible, Cortex, Element, and Layer. And some of these companies have been very successful. Element was acquired for $230 million US. Layer 6 AI was acquired by TD Bank for $100 million. Very similar to what we're working on, but we feel our key differentiators are We have deep industry experience. We have a deep toolkit to leverage and quickly build use cases. Our proprietary maintenance automation to reduce costs for the long run. A flexible price strategy for allowing small and medium-sized companies to enter into the ML space early on. We have a co-development and licensing strategy. So building with companies, we can share IP, we can license IP, so we're flexible in that area. MyTax to develop, we can reduce costs by having funding matching for paying salaries for machine learning developers. So there's some very attractive grants and funding opportunities. So our marketing, sales, and revenue strategies, we want to build that brand awareness, capitalize on the most reliable high margin use cases of machine learning. There can be really expensive drawn out use cases. We want to capitalize on the high margin, reliable ones that don't drift too often, that have broad uses, and that's what we're going to focus on. We want to position ourselves as experts. We want to build our long-term relationships with clients, get that repeat business. And so we have a different strategy for engagement with different content marketing. Revenue, we have 3 different ways that we're going to build revenue. Flat fee for the phase 1, 2, and 3, consulting, hourly or per project, and phase 4, licensing those off-the-shelf ML models that we develop. Our financial projection, planning to lose money in the first few years as we grow from 4 people to 8, 10, 14, and 18. Our first raise, we're looking for $378,050. And that'll get us to about 1.5 years, and we'll do a second raise once we have a little bit more traction, and that'll take us to that about negative 750, 800,000, which will really accelerate the company. So our ask, we're looking for advisors to help us refine our pricing, selecting the right customers, choosing the best partners and use cases, seeking partners and clients to build our database of code and our use cases. And we're looking for that investor funding to expand our team and scale our operations and really meet the cash flow needs of our growing company. So that first raise is with a valuation of 1.9 million for an equity of 19.1%. So thanks a lot for listening to my pitch. I'll take any questions.
Thanks a lot, Jason. We'll take a couple of questions.
Just wondering about intellectual property and how you're going to really secure what you have to in terms of key differentiators that the competition might want to get their fingers on.
Right. So as we develop early on, we'll allow any co-developing partner companies to have that 3-year exclusive license to the IP, and beyond that, it's a negotiation about whether we can release that to other companies or keeping that proprietary.
Okay, great. If there's no further questions, I apologize, Jason. That was a great talk and very self-explanatory, I think. Do ask Jason questions in the chat space. Otherwise, I think just because I have to run off to the afternoon session in person at Edmonton, at Enterprise Square in Edmonton, I need to keep us on track a little bit. One quick question. Otherwise, could I ask Mirna to share her screen while I briefly introduce her? So Mirna is presenting a plan on rapid diagnostics, which she's developing with her team in Calgary. Mirna, could you just show, let your video camera show your screen? If you're there, Mirna, she is developing a diagnostic platform that's mass spec based, and it allows rapid diagnosis of infections by various pathogens. I'll put her link in the chat space. Those of you who, hi Mirna, great.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm just going to share.
Yeah, just share your screen and then you can roll and keep on asking questions of Jason as well if you can in the chat space. That link for the DiscoveryLab page is available if you have the password for the advisors and investors. Thanks for sharing that. You can go ahead and start your pitch, Mirna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me a chance to pitch today. So as Michael said, I am the product manager at Rapid Infection Diagnostics. Sorry. I will start with what the problem is. So infectious diseases are a major burden few numbers here. We have 500,000 bloodstream infections in North America only, with 90,000 deaths in North America. BSIs are fatal after 6 hours of going undiagnosed or giving the wrong antibiotics. On the other side, we have urinary tract infections, which are very common infections with around 21.2 million urine cultures annually in North America. The problem is that we have an increase of antimicrobial resistance, which means that prescribing the wrong antibiotics can also make your disease either gets more serious and can cause death if not dealt with, or the increasing of AMR will lead to treatment failure. So, and the other issue is kind of like we have a microbiology testing that is slow. So it takes 2 to 5 days nowadays from the moment where you have a blood sample or urine culture to, you have 2 to 5 days time to diagnosis from the moment you take blood samples to urine cultures and to the moment where your doctor has the diagnosis in hand. And that can be, this is an issue since we want to, the time to diagnostics is long. And so slow testing will contributes to death. With after day 2, we can after 12 hours, we can see how the increase is going to a plateau around the probability of dying will increase until after day 2. So if we can decrease that time to diagnosis to before 2 days, then we're actually golden, because we're actually having a higher chance to survive. And the current technology is going to then be limited, not just in terms of the turnaround time to diagnosis, but also in space and resources needed, both in terms financial resources and work resources, labor resource. So RID came up with a solution that uses a technology with three custom steps. We have a medium and MCD, which is plate customs with a software customs using Thermo Fisher automation system and class 1 MD mass spectrometer. And this technology is metabolomics based, which means that we are looking into what does the microbe consume and produce in terms and identifying patterns, unique patterns or unique signatures per bacteria and bugs to know which bacteria is infecting at which bacteria is at the source of the infection. And also we add to it the AST, which is the antibiotic susceptibility testing, allowing us to understand or to identify which antibiotics will perform better, will actually perform better in term and personalize that time to diagnosis and the actual prescription of the antibiotics. And so that's, I'm just not gonna take so much time on terms of that. So we ran a head-to-head trials between our technology and the current technology through Alberta Precision Labs, with our partnership with Alberta Precision Labs. And we realized that RIDS, BSI-DX and UTI-DX, which are the two assays to identify, to diagnose bloodstream infections and urinary tract infections, were performing 30 to 40 hours faster than current testing technologies, which makes our technology viable and actually interesting to implement and with an impact on people's health. So for now, the way we implement it, we have two types of products. We have a platform for a small lab, which look like the pictures that you have here. And we have a cost competitive that is $11.60 versus $12.27 as of now, with potential to be cheaper with volume development and manufacturing. And the other platform is going to be for larger labs, which we will be able to support 1,000 samples per day with a current cost of 1.99 versus the 10.78 that the current technology costs. And as you can see, this one has a smaller footprint with 67 foot square versus the 1750 foot square that the current technology occupies. Our advantage comes twofold. Besides the technology, we have a range of IPs with one granted IP in Canada for our technology. And the other one is we have a clinical partner we're working with today. It's DynaLife. And we have been, so as you can see in the picture here is the platform that we have installed already at the DynaLife Edmonton facility and with whom we're working. We are in the validating stage where we are in our preclinical trial with DynaLife, which acts as a commercial partner and also is an end user of our technology. So we'll be able to tell us to test and refine that technology through our partnership. Our competitive landscape, so now nowadays the current technology is both the MALDI and the Vitek. One does ID, the other one does ID is identification of the pathogen, and the other one is the AST, which is the antibiotic susceptibility testing. The Keystra will be a full platform, which, as you can see, is larger. The read low volume, which is the small labs, has the only doesn't have the high throughput, but does IDAST, is fully integrated, so it does both. It's small, and it turnaround time is lower than 6 post blood flagging, and the read fully automated does have all the competitive advantage that the others will either lack or not include. Okay, so our revenue model will be twofold. It's both the consumables and the hardware. The consumables are customized, so then we have the IP on it. And the hardware will be through our partnership with Thermo Fisher and our custom software. The market segments is our markets target is North America with Canada, like Alberta, Canada, US, where we have 19 million of testing for urinary tract infection versus 582 in US. And then the current cost per testing is, we're talking about a $5.8 billion market if we're talking like over like global world, but if we're just focusing on North America, we're talking around 200 millions and 7 million. So our path to market goes first, the short term will be to go through accessible via LDT, which are laboratory developed testing, through our partnership with DynaLife and the sisters companies that are Life Labs and DynaCare. And then post FDA will be able to actually have direct sales with the labs in US, which are LabCorp and Quest Diagnostics. So our team is composed of Dr. Ian Lewis, which is the founder and CEO with more than 20 years of experience in developing diagnostics for infectious diseases. And we have Orent Muduruglu, who is the executive chairman and has more than 30 years in scaling up startups. We have Thomas Ridzak and Ryan Groves, who are the CTO and CSO, and they have experience in they're experts in the technology. The ask is financial support for our FDA trial. We are submitting for breakthrough soon, like in the next few months, and we are looking for financial support for that FDA trial. We have enlisted MDC Associates, so we have our regulatory help and support, and we're just looking for financial support for that. And yeah, so the company mission is to minimize death and disability from infections by accelerating laboratory diagnostics, and our technology identifies microbiology pathogens, measures antibiotic susceptibility profiles to diagnose urinary tract infections and bloodstream infections. We have grown from more than $17 million Canadian in non-dilutive investments with the 10 people that you've seen on the team. We have 2 partners, DynaLife Medical Labs and Thermo Fisher, and thank you for listening to my pitch.
Thank you so much, Mirna. Any questions from the crowd? Just wondering, what is the ability to identify specific microbes? Because there's 1,000,001 different ones. Do you just see that there's a microbe, or can you specifically identify it? And how long does it take?
That's a good question. So we have, we can identify around 57 microbes, which are causing more than 90% of today's infections. How long does it take? What do you mean? Like, how long does it take to identify these bacteria?
Well, I'm a doctor. I've got a patient. He's not doing well. He needs to know right now, what has he got? What antibiotic do I give him? How long will it take you?
Perfect. So then once we get the sample, run it through the system. Once the blood bottle flags, so which can take 6 to 8 hours. After that, we need 4 to 6 hours to identify the pathogen. So all in all, less than a day you can have.
Can you shorten that? Because my patient's not doing very well. He's on the floor.
Yeah, that's a good question. So as long as we are, I believe that we can do it within 12 to 24 hours. And that's me giving a buffer time. Our solution is definitely 4 to 6 hours. 4 hours would be the start. So we know what kind of bacteria we're looking for, and we know what kind of antibiotics we want to test. And this is the stat results. And then the longer reports will take 6 hours max.
Okay, great. You've done a great job. That's a great pitch, and you've got a great team as well. So thank you. One last question. Otherwise, we're going to close. Thank you for filling out the polls. I want to thank all of our speakers. Those are great talks today. I want to thank ERIN for their support, the University of Alberta and Bennett Jones, also Adept and Apex. You've all been great supporters, and we're having a lot of fun learning about how you can all change the world in a positive way. I thank all of you who stayed around for so long. It's been a really busy morning, and we're just halfway through the party. So we're going to have an afternoon session over at Enterprise Square. I want to thank Aaron for chairing so many sessions, also Trixie and the earlier chairs as well. And thank all of you. I hope some of you can join us at Enterprise Square, and do reach out. There is a list I gave of the contacts. If you heard something you want to find out more about, if you want to offer some advice, maybe on investment, but maybe just on a contact who might be able to help, maybe with some clinical advice on, do doctors want this, or what are they currently using, for diagnosis. Our next event again will be featuring a lot of companies in the devices diagnostics space on May the 26th at the Bow. And I'd like to thank Mirna and her team for being able to present today. And I look forward to seeing you in Calgary in 2 months. And Jeffrey, again, thanks so much for being there. Anybody who has anything to say before we close out, this is an open time for an open discussion for a minute or two.
Michael, could you give us the coordinates for the boardroom?
Oh, sure. So the boardroom is in Enterprise Square, and that's on the corner of Jasper and the old Hudson's Bay building, and it's on the ground floor on the southwest corner. I suggest that you park over at the YMCA, a block on the same block. It's less expensive there. I think it's about $5.25 an hour. Or if you want to park for free, you could park down Jasper about 1 kilometer east of Enterprise Square. Okay. But there isn't parking actually at Enterprise Square. I apologize about that. You have to go to the Y, which is just the building to the north. Okay. Any other questions? And Elliot, thanks for coming. I'm looking forward to seeing you. We have a reception afterwards as well to have more networking and discussion. But even if you don't make it, do reach out. Maybe have a chat with one of the people who presented today and see if you can find out a little more. Jeffrey, I look forward to seeing you and having a drink in Birmingham in a couple of weeks. I want to thank you all for coming today. I invite you all to register our next event. The window is open to register on our website, discoverylab.ca. So feel free to go there. We're going to be sharing the videos with registrants and also scores. So you'll find out what happened today if you missed anything. Anything else?
Michael?
Yep, please.
Can I just say, having been privileged to be part of your group over a number of meetings now, that it's impressive that the quality and desirability of the pitches being made has improved immensely from when you started it up.
Well, we did start off just as a friendly kind of grassroots network, and it is getting better. It's because of you, people like you who are helping, giving your time and giving me advice every time we try and improve one little thing. Also, Aaron coming on board and sharing so well today. This is a group effort, so I couldn't do it without you, and also the support from our funders. We're looking to scale what we do so we can help even more people. If people like this, we'll just continue to expand. So going to Calgary will be fun. I'd love to run an event with you, Jeffrey, in the UK. The entrepreneurs in the UK are also an amazing bunch. You guys scrape together sometimes, people start in their garage, and then before you know it, they get a beautiful building, and they're doing great science and sales at the same time. So there are great examples, including the binding site that inspired me and probably yourself and others to show what can be done if we work together. And also in Scotland, of course, where you did so much of your early work.
Indeed.
Okay. Well, thank you all. I really enjoy it. Feel free to give me any feedback. I might send a feedback form around after the meeting so you can tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. And again, I'll share all that information from today's event. And I've given you the scores there. I'll stop sharing that. I'm going to turn off the video. And